My friend says caffeine's a drug. I said, oh, tell your friend, fuck you.
I don't want to be your buddy, but just want a little breakfast.
Hello. Timecop. 2003. Timecop. 2003. We're gonna talk some shit. Timecop.
Those weapons of mass destruction gotta be somewhere.
Start me up, baby, start me up, I'll never stop. Can't feel you. Start me up, baby, start me up, I'll never stop.
I'll tell you what, Steve King, why don't you just take your mama home some chicken, and then I won't have to stuff my boot all up in your ass.
Hey, Mr. Bungle Gills.
All this time, I can't believe I couldn't see.
I consider myself a nerd.
You make a dead man come.
The more you know
You make
who
a
you
dead
are,
man come.
the more you want.
You make a dead man come.
The less
You make a dead man
things upset you.
come by.
Nope, no weapons over there.
Hello and welcome to Breakfast Punx, a podcast about weird shit, DIY punk and trashy movies. Brought to you by Shamsi Roasters and Deadbeat Donuts. From Hastings, I'm Siobhan.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Timebot 500.
And Timebot 500 is here because we're doing one of our special episodes. Special?
Everyone really loved it last time, so we're doing it again.
One of our Time Cops episodes. If you listened to our podcast a couple of weeks ago, you'll know that this week we're covering the year 2003.
Mm-hmm.
We've done one of these Time Cop episodes before, and as Siobhan alluded to, it was the least popular episode we've ever done.
Woohoo!
So we thought as a result of that we'd do it again. In these Time Cop episodes, we talk about 4 different subjects about the year at hand. We talk about the news, then we do cultural events, then we do music, and then we do films.
So last time we did this, we had 1966, which was a bit of a trek, seeing as neither me or Dave was alive then, and probably had no real cultural reference for what happened in that year. Whereas 2003, we were both very much alive.
Very much alive.
Very much alive. Dave, what were you doing in 2003?
Well, in 2003, I qualified to become a psychiatric nurse.
Fantastic.
I suppose that was probably the main thing.
Good life decision?
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, you still a nurse now?
No.
Okay, cool.
But that's fine. It set me up for the entirety of my 20s and most of my 30s.
Time well used.
So, yeah,
Good.
yeah. And I was making terrible acoustic emo music, and 2003 was definitely the first time I ever toured.
Oh.
I did 2 tours, I think.
Dave, care
2003.
to share with the public what the name of your emo
No.
solo thing was?
Not really.
You sure? I can remember what it's called.
I mean, it's fine because I don't think it exists on the internet or anything. So it's
Okay,
fine.
well, if anyone wants to look it up, it's Short Term Diary.
You have to
Go look it up.
You have to.
You had a MySpace, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, everyone had a MySpace. Although actually, I don't think I got a MySpace until probably about 2010.
But the year they turned it off.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the CDs are still available on Discogs.
I think we've got a fair few here, haven't we? It's all good. Probably a rare item now.
But I don't know what else. I mean, I think having done this little deep dive into 2003, it turns out I was probably just listening to some very average music. And
Does seem that way.
yeah, and probably watching some not great films, wearing baggy jeans, I would guess. Although I don't know,
Actually,
I
I
was a
think-
professional by then. I
Yeah.
don't really know. I mean, I don't think, as a psychiatric nurse, you don't really have to be very
I
smart.
think jeans have
but-
got a little bit skinnier by that point. Only a little bit.
Nah,
No,
well,
they're
they
at their baggiest like 2001.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, I probably bought the jeans that I was wearing in 2003 and 1998.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. No, very true.
I
very
probably
true.
had airwalks. I definitely had airwalks.
Oh gosh, we were at DC's
I think I had the
Airwalks.
side of my lip pierced. And I think it might have been the year that I dyed my hair jet black.
You dyed your hair jet black?
Yeah,
Do you have a
so,
soul
well.
patch at this point?
Nah,
Okay.
that was the rockabilly era. That was later.
God, we've lived some rubbish lives.
Well, let's find out. What were you doing in 2003?
Do you really wanna
Talking
know?
about rubbish lives.
Well.
What were you doing in Norfolk?
So I was at high school. I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I'd only been to my very first gig in 2002. So this was the year of discovering gigs and discovering music. And
what a platter
as
of
we'll
delights
I
there
know.
was to discover.
As we'll get onto it, it turns out it was quite a bad year to discover music, and thus I didn't discover any good music for years. I don't think I was really doing anything other than being 14. Probably dyed my hair a funny colour.
Oh, you must
Did
have
I get my
drunk
lip
some.
pierced
You
then?
must have drunk some cider under a slide.
I think that I definitely, back in the days when Sainsbury's did their like 18 beers for 10 quid or whatever, I'm pretty sure we did a few of them in the park.
What, those little French stubby
No,
beers?
no,
They were like
cans of Foster's. I mean, it was
2%.
dirty.
Oh, okay.
I actually got really into John Smith's.
Of course you did.
I don't know why.
You and your grandpa.
I don't know. For some
Crack
reason,
another one out the fridge, grandpa.
no, because weirdly, in that weird deal that you can get in Sainsbury's, it was either Strongbow, which turns out now I love, which is bad, Foster's and John Smith's. They were pretty much the only ones you could get.
Well,
I didn't like Foster's.
This is like a time capsule.
And I didn't
from
like
the year
Strongbow.
2003.
So John Smith's was what I drank when I was 14.
Jesus Christ.
Which
It
is
was before,
really bad.
I'll tell you what, though, it was before, like, good beers. Everyone was
long
drinking.
before
I mean,
good
long
beers.
before.
I mean, to be honest, I still like John Smith's. I could still consider it an alright beer. But, yeah, I'm disgusting.
How about you, Timebot 500? What beer were you drinking?
Lamborghini.
Oh, I think what you meant to say
Do you
was
mean
Lamborghini, wasn't it?
Fair enough.
Well, that's
Lamborghini
interesting.
was a bit
Where were you
delicious.
drinking this Lamborghini?
I was in storage.
Oh, right.
You were in storage?
You were locked away.
Oh,
He's
poor
a bit
bugger.
old this time.
With his
unfortunately.
Lamborghini.
With drinking his Lamborghini in
Not
storage.
made him well, has it? Right, well, as Dave already mentioned, we're going to go through news, culture, music and film. We're not going to be playing any punk music this week, but that's fine, we'll get back to it as normal next time.
I mean, all punk music was so corporate in 2003.
Oh,
that
gosh.
We'd get immediately sued.
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll get to all that. in a
Taken
minute.
off the air.
Yeah, ugh. So we'll kick off with the news. Brilliant. Thanks, Timebot. So also last time, if you listened to the last episode, I did a little bit of a pop quiz with Dave to see what he could remember or know from the year that we picked. 1966 was a bit tough. 2003, let's see how you do.
I don't know if it being by memory is a good thing for me, really.
Actually, no. I think you've really struggled with this one, which is really strange.
I found out I suffer from aphantasia this week.
Okay, what the fuck is that?
It means that I can't picture anything in my mind, and as a result of that, I have very poor biographical memory.
Oh, really?
My own biography.
Because you
So
can't
I can
remember. You can't see you as a.
I can't.
Younger.
No, I think it just means that my brain doesn't work well.
I can tell you that.
No, it means my brain doesn't work to remember what I've done. So,
Okay.
So I'm all right at remembering facts, but not facts that I find out via experience.
Okay,
So
that's I mean, it's not dementia. What's it called? Sorry.
no, aphantasia.
So you're
It's not-
aphantastic.
No, I've always had it. It's not dementia. You don't.
Okay.
You could. I had it when I was young. I guess. I don't know. I didn't test it then.
You didn't need to have a memory then. You were new. You didn't have any. No.
But I couldn't see pictures in my brain.
Yeah, that's weird.
Quite
I don't
interesting,
know that
actually.
I can
Sorry,
do it.
I read about this thing called aphantasia, and I say I've got it. I mean, I've decided I've got it of my own accord. But just if anybody's listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, "What's this madman talking about?" The example is if you can imagine a cow. If someone says, "Imagine a cow," and you haven't seen a cow, and you shut your eyes and you see if you can make a picture of a cow in your brain. Most people can, but 2 to 3% of the population can't
Make a cow.
create a picture in their mind.
Yeah.
And I can't. It's just black. I know that I'm thinking about a cow. Like I know what a cow is, and I can think of all the different things. I could describe a cow and that sort of stuff, but I can't actually bring up a picture in my mind. And that's called aphantasia. And 15% of people have got the opposite, which is called something else, something else, and that means that they can literally experience anything like it was actually happening to them,
Really?
just by imagining it. That's more
amazing.
common.
I think I suffer from some kind of peer pressure and anxiety because I don't think I can do it, but I don't think it's because I actually can't do it. I think it's just because I'm trying really hard to do it right now, and therefore my brain has just gone, no, you're mash.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Well, if you
But
can't
I can.
picture a cow...
I think I can picture a cow,
If
but
the-
now you're asking me to. I can't picture a cow, but I think I can. If I was in a better place, I think I could. Better place? If I wasn't being asked to picture a cow, I think I could picture a cow.
Oh,
gosh.
maybe that's what I've got then. But ever since I've read this, I've continuously been trying to picture a cow. So as a result, maybe I've just put so much pressure on myself that I
You
can't
can't
picture
remember
a cow.
2003
I'm
anymore.
going to have to forget about this for a while. Anyway, the point being that autobiographical information is not my strong point.
Okay, good.
And so if any of these questions involve anything that I should remember, I probably am not going to be
well-
able to remember it.
Good luck. See how this
Let's
goes.
do it.
I believe that there's some Timebot beautiful music that he made.
Oh,
for
I think
us.
he's going to get on the piano.
Yeah,
Hold
good.
off. Yep. If you could just get on the piano, Timebot.
The first question. What was the name of the army major found guilty of cheating his way to £1 million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, fucking hell.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I knew that happened in 2003, but I have no idea what his name is. Hang on, no. Didn't he end up on like reality TV
I think
and
he
stuff?
did,
He became a bit of a
actually.
celebrity for a
I
while.
think he did, yeah.
I'm going to say, I don't know, but I'm going to say his name was Sergeant Major Lionel Buchanan.
No, but that's beautiful. Charles Ingram. Do you remember
Oh,
that name?
fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, all right,
See,
yeah,
weirdly,
yeah.
I couldn't remember it, but I did remember that name when I saw it.
Yeah.
Slightly not as fun. In March, the House of Commons backed the war in Iraq. How many yes votes are 561?
It was high, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like 400 and something.
412
Yeah.
bastards. Sorry, we're starting really depressingly, but one more depressing
Well,
question.
it's 2003.
I
Get
know.
fucking used to it, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
What was the name of the weapons expert found dead in the woods near his home in July 2003?
I can see his face, but he was a furry man.
Yeah, I
No?
think he had a bit of fuzz.
Yeah. He looked like Harold Shipman.
Yeah, he did a bit. He had
bit.
glasses.
Fuzzy glasses man.
He might have had fuzzy glasses.
He probably doesn't look anything like that. I don't know. I've got a clue.
Dr. David Kelly.
Oh,
And we'll get
shit.
to why he's
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
later.
should've got that, yeah.
How many days did David Blaine stay in a Perspex box?
Oh my god! Do you want to hear something really weird? I went and looked at him when he was in that.
You
He was
didn't.
on the Thames, wasn't he?
It was either on the Thames or was it in...
When he did one on
Oh.
the Thames, I went and looked at him.
Maybe it was that, because there was one where he stood on that pillar in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought
this
that was in
now.
the
I
box.
saw him in the box.
Oh, I thought he was in the box.
He was hanging. He was like hanging in a perspex
Oh,
box, and he had to
really?
poo in a little corner where you couldn't look in, and then send it down a tube.
Oh, that's fucking grim.
I think that's true. Anyway,
He had to,
I
as
might
if
have-
he had no choice
Well,
of
he
being
was
in
up
this
there
box.
for ages. I mean, I haven't got a clue. He was up there a long time. 24 days.
44 days.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
It's crazy, isn't it? Speaking of other magical assholes, who played Russian roulette live on TV?
Oh, Darren Brown.
Oh, what a cunt.
I know that.
He is,
You don't like Darren Brown,
I
do you?
cannot even begin to express my disdain for that man. I do hate David Blaine a bit more.
I think David Blaine's worse.
Yeah,
than
he's
Darren
way
Brown,
worse.
by
But
quite a
there's
long way.
something sinister about Darren Brown that
But
I don't like.
I think it's the sinister element to him that I quite like.
But it's the same thing that probably
he
makes
feels
him
like
a psychopath.
Oh, he's
no.
definitely a psychopath. No question at all.
I mean, they all are. 13-year-old surfer Bethany Hamilton jumped right back up on her surfboard after sustaining what injury?
Oh God, I've not even heard of this, so this is a total joke.
I'd never heard of it either.
I'm going to say that her jaw fell off.
No, but very impressive. A shark bit off her left arm.
Fucking hell, that's not
Got
far
up and
off.
carried on. That's
Jesus,
fucking
did
mental.
she?
Apparently, I mean, I don't know if she was in a competition or what, but apparently she just got back up.
If she wasn't in the competition, that's even crazier.
It is a
Oh,
bit
fuck
weird.
that arm off. I'm having a nice time.
Who else sustained an arm injury this year?
Oh my God.
Clue.
Yeah.
And they then made a film about it in 2011.
Oh, all right. So this is the one about a rock climber, and he gets caught underneath a rock or something,
Yeah, he
and he's
did.
stuck there. I don't know what his name is.
Oh no, I didn't know his name, but you got the right person. It's Aaron Ralston. I might have written it down wrong. But yeah, he amputated his right arm with a dull knife. A dull knife. I have not seen the film, and nothing about that makes me want to see it. A dull, just literally chewing your own arm off with a dull knife. Crap.
I mean, 2003 was a bit of a dull knife.
All right, one more. America renamed French fries to what in protest for France's stand on Iraq?
Oh, Freedom Pride.
Yeah!
Yes, I remember.
Bullshit,
God,
isn't
that's
it?
weird. Yeah, fuck you, Fantasia.
Yeah.
That totally just jumped into my head.
Did you see them in your head though? Fries.
I can't see any fries in my head.
Oh. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Well, that's the end of the news. But I hope that jogs your memory on what happened in 2003.
So I think the main news story that isn't much fun, but that we probably need to get out of the way first, is that the US and Britain invaded Iraq. Initially under the name Operation Iraqi Liberation, but quickly changed to Operation Iraqi Freedom due to the acronym spelling out oil.
That's pretty fucking unfortunate.
So I think that pretty much tells you everything that you need to know,
Oh my
really.
gosh.
We watched a really interesting new documentary series, which wasn't specifically about this, but it was about 9/11,
And
which is
everything that led
just
to it.
just come out on Netflix, which I would really recommend if anybody wants to sort of a very depressing.
There's a documentary called Bitter Lake that Adam Curtis did in 2015 that gives a very straight lead up to 9/11 and not even just 9/11 but the whole world around terrorism and the Western world's input, influence, position in the world of that. I thought this was going to be a bit more biased towards America, and I can truly say it really wasn't.
That's definitely not biased.
It was in a similar kind of straight down the middle line, with a bit more sadness of actual tales from 9/11, which is really awful.
Yeah. But I mean, what it does is it sort of follows the narrative from 9/11 onwards.
Yeah.
So it shows the ridiculousness of what happened. Going to war with Afghanistan in the first place. Again, going to war does not do it justice at all.
Yeah.
Invading Afghanistan and then just deciding to make up weapons of mass destruction.
And it's also the fact that, and I think this documentary did the best description of it, the fact that the war on Iraq was the, revenge war for the US because they thought that they were harbouring the people who did it.
Yeah.
But then the war on Afghanistan was, tagged on the end because they were two separate things. And the war in Iraq officially ended December that year, but Afghanistan had begun and, they've only just ended. They've only just left.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fucking mess.
It's just awful, but yeah.
But it's interesting to look back on something that, even with not that much history gone by, what is it, 20 years
It's been
or whatever.
20 years, exactly.
It's impossible not to just see the amount of evil that was going on and the amount of spite that was going on and all the reasons behind every decision that was made. They were all just fucking outright
emotional
evil.
spite.
Punishing people, punishing anyone for the acts of what were, basically a handful of people. So let's not dwell on it too much. But suffice to say, everybody involved should be
put on trial
for war crimes, and it's fucking disgusting.
Apart from that one woman in the House of Representatives who, I don't know how many people there are in the House of Representatives. Let's say there's 250. 249 voted yes. She was the only one that voted no.
And she got
and she
booed.
got death threats,
shit
booze,
thrown
and her
stuff at her.
exactly.
And,
and her speech was merely just saying, obviously it's awful what's happened to us, but we cannot react in the state of emotion that we're in right now. The vote to go to war happened 4 days later. It was something really short.
And
sorry,
it wasn't.
It wasn't a vote to go to war. Even it was a vote to pass a law that meant that the president could authorise military force for anything that they saw fit in the fight against what they thought was happening to them,
without passing it through any Congress, which
they've used
they supposedly superficially put into place just strictly to deal with this
just to get Osama
very dramatic event that happened to America, but which is still in place, and
they're still using it.
Every president since, including Obama, including obviously Trump, has used these powers willy-nilly.
All of them just about as much as each other. Really.
No one's left without blood in their hands. So
the other thing that I only just learned, again, we'll end this sadness thing, is Guantanamo Bay. Jesus Christ, I did not even realise just how bad it... I mean, we did from all of the news that came out in and around that time. But, they put 700 and something people in there, and they've only just released pretty much all of them, but pretty much all of them at the same time.
Yeah, completely
straight back
illegal,
to a country.
No, absolutely, against every single international law that there is, as far as war is concerned, as far as anything is concerned.
And if they weren't America hating before,
of course,
they will be now.
Well, there's
so that's good.
So there's an interesting. Not too many episodes ago, we did The Secret Rulers of the World, which is that John Ronson documentary, and he made another one, which I think we mentioned at the time, called The Crazy Rulers of the World.
Yeah.
And in that, he actually interviews somebody, an English guy, who ended up in Guantanamo Bay. And I can't remember the exact reasons, but the reason he was talking to him was because of the sort of torture techniques that they were using, which was like playing Metallica really loud and putting strobe lights in their eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
But this guy was literally just a Muslim who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think he ended up in there for about 4 years or something.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I remember watching that and just thinking how crazy it was that this guy had just ended up there. You know, I suppose these people are all quite faceless, and when you actually see somebody being interviewed, that's...
Yeah, let's not talk about it too much. Go watch the documentary on Netflix if you can, because it's really, really good. And yeah, it made me think about a lot of things, especially given the current climate with America and Afghanistan. It's definitely worth a watch.
And talking about documentaries, another documentary which has been made since 2003, but which occurred in 2003, is called The Alibi. And it's about a guy called Juan Catalan, who was put up for murder charges and was, I think, more or less certain to be found guilty of murder charges, until somebody spotted him at the time that the murder happened in the background of a baseball game in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes!
And so that became his alibi.
That's a fucking good documentary as well. Is that on Netflix as well? It might be.
It was, I don't know.
It's so good, because it's literally their lawyers being like, we really need to clear you of this murder. How are we going to do it? And he's just like, I was at a baseball game. And
it was a real like, you're Mexican, you're brown, you'll do. You definitely must have murdered him.
In slightly happier American news, Arnold Schwarzenegger gets sworn in as the governor of California this year.
Yeah.
And he's a genius.
I think genius might be pushing the point slightly.
Oh, bless, he's vegan now. We have to like him.
Do we?
I like Arnold
There's
Schwarzenegger.
There's loads of vegans I don't like.
I know, true.
But no, Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't one of them.
No,
He is good.
I like Arnie.
He's one of the few people that uses social media for good, I think.
Yeah, truly. Oh, I think he's a fucking gem. And one
He
of the
also
good
starred
famous
in,
people that got to be
Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines.
Well, we'll get to that, won't we?
It wasn't a perfect year for old Arnold.
Oh, bless him. He was busy being a governor.
Robert Downey Jr. thanked Burger King for getting him off drugs. In 2003, with a car full of drugs, he had a burger that was so disgusting it made him rethink his life, and he dumped all of his drugs into the ocean.
That is fucking brilliant. Burger King should use that more often.
And actually, Dunkin Donuts, I'd had no idea about this. They got rid of their original Dunkin Donut. The original Dunkin Donut had a pastry handle that you could dip the thing into your coffee.
No way!
It was a donut with a little handle.
Handle?
Yeah. But they discontinued it in 2003 because people's imaginations had got too small and they couldn't deal with it.
I mean, that's not the truth. I believe it's because they had to cut it by hand, and Dunkin Donuts is a mass-produced, nasty donut.
That sounds like a conspiracy theory to me.
I don't believe so. As someone who makes donuts by hand, it does take fucking hours, so fair enough. I've just found a nice fact, and I might be saying this person's name wrong. Frane Selak is the luckiest unlucky person in the world. They've cheated death 7 times, including falling out of an airplane, but in 2003 they won the lottery. Legend. I don't know who they are, I don't know anything more about them.
How does a person fall out of an aeroplane?
I don't know.
I mean, surely if you go, everyone goes, first of all.
Well, I mean, maybe it was like a one-man airplane. Maybe he jumped out deliberately. Maybe he didn't have a parachute. I don't know. I don't know anything more about it than that. But
it sounds like a scene from Naked Gun.
Well, he won the lottery, so good on him.
Green Day finished an album in 2003, but someone stole it. And they were so gutted that instead of re-recording all of the work that they'd already done, they decided to write and record an entire new album, and they made that fucking album.
American Idiot.
Yeah.
God. The Human Genome Project that mapped out the structure of the DNA and all the specific information that is contained within it was completed in 2003. And I'm pretty sure they mapped out 99.9% of the human genome. So now we know our entire DNA, which I don't know. I'm sure that's been helpful since. The whole point was to try and find ways to cure things.
And I'm not entirely convinced that this is related because I don't understand science at all.
Okay.
But I think it's the same. Scientists published the first comprehensive analysis of the genetic code of the Y chromosome, which is the male chromosome.
Yeah.
The Y chromosome provides just 78 genes out of an estimated 30,000 in human DNA and makes few important contributions beyond determining gender. Once the size of the X chromosome, which contains about 1,000 genes, the Y chromosome has been rapidly decaying over the course of human revolution.
Oh my gosh.
Dwindling to a mere tenth of its former self.
Don't tell men that.
Well, they're just dying out. It's probably for the best.
There was something in there that I really liked about male genes making few important contributions.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep that somehow.
They just determine gender. No, but
so the only point of the Y chromosome is a penis.
Well, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, making a clitoris grow, I suppose.
Oh gosh.
I think with that, we might be done with news.
Yeah, I think we might be.
There's not very much happiness to go on.
No, I was about to say
I can
only see the other things that happened was loads of rockets blowing up. Like there was a Chinese rocket that blew up with everyone on it, and Space Shuttle Columbia broke up when re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and everyone died. So pretty sad.
Well, I think as well
about that.
And I wonder how much this had to do with just the zeitgeist of the time. But an awful lot of the news is based around various terrorist activities. Obviously, post 9/11 and 2003 was an extremely post 9/11 time.
Yeah.
I suppose those things would have been noted with a lot more importance, maybe. Not to say that any terrorist event isn't important, but I just mean in the context of what's remembered of the news. One of the things that did happen was that in 2003, Colonel Gaddafi accepted responsibility for the Lockerbie bombing.
Oh, that's good, because probably didn't do that either.
Well, yeah, so no, it's a really sad story. So the Lockerbie bombing happened in 1988, in which an aircraft was in flight over the Scottish town of Lockerbie and it was destroyed by a bomb. Colonel Gaddafi is a really interesting character. There's a really interesting thing about him in one of the Adam Curtis documentaries about how basically Colonel Gaddafi was just this insane person who was also a dictator, who was really keen on being seen as a really powerful super force in the world, and so therefore took responsibility for loads of different terrorist attacks that he really didn't have anything to do with, and as a result their country got a lot of, I think they got bombed a lot, and there was a lot of...
The UK were fairly sure that it was actually Syria, but their leader was a bit scary and they were in deals with Syria, so they couldn't really go after them. So they were like, but it's quite handy that this lunatic wants to take responsibility for things. We can just let him take responsibility for it, make him sound like a baddie, and then everyone will forget that Syria is probably the baddie, but we're friends with them.
And he was happy to be a baddie, and so therefore he was like the Osama bin Laden, really. He was like the face of evil. But with the Lockerbie bombing, he agreed to take responsibility for it and paid a great deal of compensation to the families of the victims. But he maintained that he had never ordered the attack, and the acceptance of responsibility was part of a series of requirements laid out by the UN resolutions for sanctions against Libya to be lifted.
Yep.
So they had to accept responsibility in order to have sanctions lifted off their country, and so he did.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the general news for now. So, without further ado, I guess we'll move on to... Yeah?
Give us a little something.
Cultural events.
Fantastic. Timebot once again. And he's going to pop up his little music for us and we'll get the quiz started.
There it goes.
Which musical, with both human and puppet actors, opened in Broadway this year? And it's now closed.
Fuck's sake. I know it, but I can't think of what it's called.
It's a bit like Sesame Street.
Yeah, no, don't know.
Avenue Q,
That's
well
it.
done. Did I do it? No. I went to see my friend do a version of it in Dartford.
Were they a puppet?
No, they were not a puppet. Harsh. Who won the Super Bowl this year?
Well, I think we can both agree that sport does not count as a cultural event.
Well, it's the only place that it fits.
Was it the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
It was!
So only because I saw, whilst I was reading through all of this shit, I saw their name.
You saw it, yeah. They also won last year. Because otherwise, 2003 was the only year they've ever won.
They also gave Hastings a boat.
They did. I don't know where that is now.
A pirate ship, yeah, it's probably been.
Yeah. Second question. What does buccaneer mean?
The pirate, surely.
No.
Oh.
I mean, I just looked this up and I was surprised to find that it was not a pirate.
Does it mean? Is it something to do? I mean, is it something to do with a boat or something?
No, almost no. It's from the French boucan, and it's a grill for smoking meat at sea.
What?
So it's basically the Tampa Bay barbecuers.
Oh.
I love it. A buccaneer is just basically someone who operates a barbecue on a boat. I mean, it's not that, but I've reduced it to that. Terry Pratchett released 2 Discworld books this year. How many Discworld books are there in total?
Oh, fucking hell. I don't know. I've read half of one. That doesn't help me very
Was
much.
it good?
It was alright.
Yeah.
24.
41.
Oh,
Good
Jesus
boy, isn't he?
Christ.
This is your element, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Eurovision.
Oh, Jesus. Go on.
Who won in 2003?
I don't think I
You'll
watched
never
it
know,
in
actually.
2003.
I think you... There's something about this year that I think means you probably did watch it.
Alright, that means it's Sweden then.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Um,
I'll get to it. Even just guess a country that might
I just
won.
did, but it was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Azerbaijan. No, they wouldn't have been in it in 2003.
I love that you... I love
France.
your Eurovision knowledge. Brilliant. It was Turkey with Sertab Erener, Every Way That I Can. Where did the UK come that year?
Right.
We've just gone to Iraq.
Yeah.
And everyone
good
hates
point.
us.
Yeah. I mean, almost definitely last, but it's weird because there was a time around there where, what's her name, won it for the UK.
Really?
Yeah, that woman and her band, someone in the something.
Katrina and the Sunshine Band?
No, Katrina and the Waves.
Oh, Katrina and the Waves.
Yeah, I'd love to mix Katrina and the Sunshine Band.
Casey and the
awesome.
Sunshine Band with Katrina. That'd be fucking brilliant. It was Walking on Sunshine, wasn't it?
That was her.
That
That,
was her
wasn't
song.
her Eurovision song.
Was it not?
No. That was
Was
her,
it
but that
Love,
was her
Shine a
song.
Light?
Yeah,
Did she do that?
sounds right. Yeah.
That's good, wasn't it? Well,
Anyway,
David,
sorry. Last, the second from last.
we came last,
Okay.
but I think you'll remember when I say Gemini, Cry Baby.
Oh, I did watch it.
Yeah.
Nah, Gemini was wicked. Gemini were completely out of key the entire
Yeah.
song, and I think they were grumpy about it. And I think afterwards they claimed that they couldn't hear anything, and I think one of them had gone momentarily deaf or something. They made up loads of stories about it.
I left out a question that was Super Bowl related. Apologies. What was the cost of a Super Bowl ad in 2003?
Oh, I actually looked this up as well. I didn't look it up. I saw it. I can't remember, but it was a lot. It was 2 million and something.
Yeah, 2,100,000.
That's mental. But
For
I
a
know,
Super Bowl
yeah,
ad.
in
It must be more
2003, It's
now.
about double that now, I think.
That's fucking insane. Absolutely fucking insane. Well, anyway, that wraps up the cultural events quiz.
Well, now we move on to a bit of a different version of a game that we played last time. So when we did 1966 Timecop, we played a little game called Shove 'em Back In or Let 'em Live,
Which is fucking weird.
in which we went through all of the people that were born in 1966 and we decided whether we would shove them back in or let them live. Unfortunately, I didn't really think very much about this game.
Yeah.
Because in 2003, it's a bit more difficult because obviously if you were born in 2003, you're like 17 or 18 at the
Yeah.
moment. But I did think to myself, well, there must be a few. We must be able to get them up. Well, I got up the famous birthdays. And
I know one.
well, I don't think you know any of the people that
No,
I've got
I do
on this,
know- I know
on this
one.
thing. But so, I mean, what the fuck is with these people that are famous anymore? I feel like we'd shove all of these motherfuckers back in.
They're all Instagram influencers,
Jojo
right?
Siwa, the YouTube star,
Okay.
TikTok star Peyton Moormayer, pop star Cash Baker, Twitch star Tubbo.
What's Twitch?
I don't know. Matty B, the rapper. Matty B looks like a fucking sperm with a haircut. Johnny Orlando is apparently a pop singer. There's so many of them are Instagram. I know this makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Because of their age. And if you're 17 or 18, you'd expect a couple of pop stars, maybe an actor or two.
Yeah.
And then obviously everyone else is just going to be whatever's current. But what the fuck is a TikTok star and an Instagram star? Who are these people?
I don't know.
Who are these fucking people?
I know one other person.
Who's
that was-
Derek Trends with a Z?
I don't know. But I know one other person that was born this year because I looked up who was born in 2003 on Wikipedia. And all of the people that you've just mentioned were on there. And in brackets it says what their name is, what their profession is afterwards.
Please tell me that you're about to say Instagram star Famous Debo,
No.
who in his picture is pretending that a wad of cash is a mobile phone and he's chatting on it.
Oh, gosh.
Go on.
Although kids don't know how to use mobile phones. They don't do that phone symbol that
Well,
we do.
Famous Debo is.
Oh, well, that's cool. Retro. No, the person that I looked at when I looked at people born in 2003 on Wikipedia, so like I say, it says their name and then their profession in brackets.
Yeah.
Madeleine McCann, brackets, abductee. And I shouldn't laugh, but I
don't
literally
know.
pissed myself.
There is a serious question
That's
to be asked
horrendous.
here, though. Would you shove her back in so that she doesn't have to go through whatever the fuck she's gone through?
Or whatever her parents did to
Or
her.
would you let her live? That's a hard one.
I don't know. She should have been saved from that life. Poor bugger. I don't know how long she's been missing, but 2003 she was born, and her job is abductee. That's what you're known for.
That's not a job.
That's what everyone else is in the brackets was saying, like, what their job was. Hers just says abductee. Anyway, this is bad taste, so we should probably end there.
As opposed to trying to decide whether we should shove back in Jackson Felt, Brooke Monk, Leslie Leroy, Bryn Rumfallow, Harvey Petito,
Stop naming
for
names.
example, we're instead going to decide
to bring back to life?
Who to bring back to life.
Yay,
who died.
That's good.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yay, who died in 2003? Woo woo.
So, without further ado, we're going to play a game of pull them out the ground.
Oh, God.
Or leave them where they are.
Ah, that's nicer.
So, as with last time, we're just going to feed in all the names to Timebot 500.
Okay.
Timebot 500 doesn't like TikTok stars, I don't think.
I don't think he even knows what TikTok is, if we're honest.
I am too old.
Yes, you are much too
far
old.
too old. I know
to
the
understand
feeling.
who any of those fucking sperms are. So, without further ado, who is the first participant in leave them in the ground
Pull them out?
Pull them
I
out?
don't know.
Morris Jib.
Morris Jib.
No,
Gibb.
Morris Gibb. From the
Maurice
useless one
Gibb.
from the Bee Gees. The fluffy one from the Bee Gees. Actually, I don't think he was the useless one. I think he was probably the only one with... he's the one who played the guitar.
He was the one that didn't have teeth, pretty much. The other two were really teethy. One was skinny and kind of like gaunt looking with the dark glasses.
Yeah, he died after.
One had the
I
bouffant.
definitely
No!
Yeah, the little one's
Robin?
dead. Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, only the big one's left.
Only the big one?
Yeah.
He looks like someone's nan. Or like a really scary dinner lady.
Has your nan got a full beard?
Probably. Oh, no, he probably needed to go. The Bee Gees are done.
You want to leave him to be dead?
He can stay there.
I think the
Let's
Bee
not
Gees
bring him
carried
back.
on without him for a little while, but they definitely
did.
lost all of their success.
Yeah.
Once Morris was gone,
Oh, Morris.
the band was dead.
The linchpin.
All right, next one.
Bob Monkhouse.
Bob Monkhouse.
Bob Monkhouse.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was the programme that Bob Monkhouse used to do? The only thing I know about Bob Monkhouse for certain is that after he died, he was on loads of adverts saying, "I'm Bob Monkhouse and I'm dead.
And I'm dead. Yeah.
You shouldn't smoke."
Yeah.
So that was weird.
Oh, no, that's sad. Well, I don't know. Comedians are nice. They should probably live a little longer.
I mean, I'm going to take a wild... I don't know anything about Bob Monkhouse, really, but he would have been a 70s working men's club comedian. So I would be
True.
extremely surprised if, even if he wasn't racist himself, or homophobic or whatever, he definitely would have made a lot of racist jokes. And
Yeah,
homophobic
been quite
jokes.
rude to women.
But I don't think he would have after 2003.
I don't even know. Leave him in the ground. I'm not feeling very generous.
All right, Jesus Christ, they're all going to stay dead.
Yeah.
All right, next one.
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons.
Was he that dancer?
Richard Simmons.
Was he the
I don't
weird...
think Richard Simmons is dead.
No, Richard
Hang on.
Simmons, the...
He's on the list.
Didn't he have like curly brown hair and really
Yeah.
skinny and used to wear like a little
He's-
the shorts and vest and was just a bit of a
he's
weird camp dancer.
Sweating for the oldies guy.
Oh yeah, get him out.
Yeah. No, he definitely needs to come out, but I don't think he's dead.
Is he not dead?
He's not dead. Well, I never. I don't know why, but Richard Simmons went into hiding, and as a result, I think Timebot 500 thought he was dead. But
Yeah.
after a 6-year absence,
He's back.
he's back.
I was about to say, he did a tweet. Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, years active was just basically, I guess Wikipedia had him as dead in those years where he wasn't active. Oh, poor Richard Simmons. He's still going. Glorious gold out.
Well, here's another question then. Would you kill him off?
Oh no.
No, you want him
No,
alive. All right,
good
that's
boy,
fine.
good boy.
All right,
Well, he doesn't really even count. He just went missing in 2003, I guess.
Let's try the next one.
Johnny Cash.
Oh, Johnny Cash died in 2003, and his wife
So this-
died in 2003 too.
Oh gosh, you'd bring them both.
Yeah.
Bring them both back.
No, you can only bring one back.
Oh! Well,
And
then they have
his
to both stay there. They can't be
famously-
without.
Famously, his wife died, and then he went about 3 months later or something because he couldn't cope with it. So
Yeah,
if you bring him
exactly.
back, that would be a horrible thing.
Oh,
to
this
do.
is so awful.
And then you're forcing Johnny Cash to live for
I
ages
cannot.
without his wife.
Are you sure I can't bring the wife back as well?
Oh, I don't know. You go on then.
Well, then
Let's
definitely
be nice.
bring them
Let's
both.
not be. We're
'Cause
going to be
this is-
horrible enough later when we talk about music and film.
Well, this is the year that he did the Nine Inch Nails cover, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just before he.
Well,
like,
they released it after he died. That album came out.
Did they release it? I thought the video came out before he died.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, you're absolutely right because it was about his
Yeah.
dead wife. Yeah,
No,
sorry, you're
well,
right.
his wife's in it. They're both about to die.
You're absolutely right.
She's watching him. It's horrible. They're both like facing their own like mortality because they're both literally like skin hanging off
Yeah.
them, looking really sad. And it's horrible. horrible.
I mean, it's off Cash 4, and I'm fairly sure that came out in 2001 or 2, but I might be wrong about that. But yeah, I think that it definitely became a much bigger song, either after he died or after she died.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think...
it even came out after... I think she made it, but then she died, and then it came out, and then everyone loved it.
That's it. I think the plan was, like... I mean, he knew what was going on when he made that.
Yeah.
Aww.
Right, let's do...
Yeah, bring them both back if you can. Can't have one without the other. It's too sad.
Let's do a couple more.
Free Willy? Oh! Did
Free
he
Willy
die?
died in 2003.
The actual... The whale that
The
they
whale,
used?
the Free Willy, the
Oh,
whale.
1,000% bring him back. But... to where he's meant to live, because I'm assuming he lived his life
I
in a
imagine
tank.
Free Willy probably wasn't very free and probably had a horrible life.
Probably in
I
those
guess.
horrible tanks somewhere.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Oh no, bring him back, but bring him back to where he's meant to live, not in a fucking
are you
house.
going to bring the... So, hold on. You're leaving... Simmons is already alive.
Simmons is alive, and I'm
Right.
not killing him.
Monkhouse and Gibb dead, both dead. But you want both Cash. So you want Johnny Cash
Yeah,
and his wife
yeah.
and Richard Simmons
Well, he's
riding...
not dead anyway.
Riding Free Willy.
Well, no, riding Free Willy to release Free Willy into the sea.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be a film.
And then they all wave him off.
Yeah.
And then it is Free Willy and he's gone. I like it. And Johnny Cash sings a nice song. And Richard Simmons dances to it.
And makes
Nice.
people sweat to the oldies.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sure he did sweat to some of Johnny Cash's songs.
Do you reckon? Oh.
Well, no, don't know. Yeah, Balls of Fire.
Balls
I
of
don't know.
Fire?
Let's do one more.
That's dumb.
Meatballs of Fire.
No. Catherine Hepburn.
Catherine Hepburn. So I have to say, this list of people that died in 2003, I didn't really know many of them.
But you know who Catherine Hepburn.
No, I know who Catherine,
yeah.
but what I'm saying is there wasn't really anybody
there's no one else to
interesting.
pick.
Once you got past the Bee Gees.
Oh, well, it's hard. I feel like she would have been old enough to have passed away at a nice time.
I think she was ancient.
Yeah.
Again, I think it would be cruel to make someone
Yeah.
that old live for another 20 years.
That is a bit sad, actually. Was there any, surprise deaths that year? Maybe people cut down in their prime.
What am I, the Grim Reaper? I don't know. I've just fed a load of names into
I think
Timebot 500 randomizer.
I think getting Johnny Cash back is probably good. Johnny Cash and Free Willy for the win.
So let's move on to some general cultural events. What have you got?
My first cultural event is that Paris Hilton's sex tape was released, One Night in Paris.
Jesus Christ.
With her then boyfriend Rick Salomon. God knows who he is, but I'm assuming that he did relatively well out of this. Yeah.
I don't know. Did either of them make money from? Was it? Did it not get stolen or something? Was it?
I can't remember.
Officially, it got stolen, but I think there was a suggestion that it was probably done deliberately.
Yeah,
for
I
publicity,
wonder
right?
who made the money out of that. Was it him? Maybe. I don't know much of the story behind this, but I do remember it happening. She had loads of reality TV programs, but I think that might have all come after this. This might have kickstarted her career into the wider mainstream, because she then had a reality TV where her and another actress that I really can't remember who it is, and that's going to
Nicole
Yes.
Richie, Lionel Richie's daughter.
Nicole Richie.
How do I know that?
Well, me thinks that you probably do know for some reason. They did a...
What reason?
Well, you maybe watched it.
I've never watched.
What was the programme about if you had to stab it?
Oh no, I genuinely haven't got a clue.
Okay.
Just two idiots being idiots, I guess.
So it was those two idiots and they had to go and learn manual labour skills.
Oh no, I definitely.
They had to go learn new jobs or stuff. Oh, the one that I watched was them going to work on a farm and they were fucking useless. It was quite entertaining, really.
I do think that 2003 was just when reality TV was really starting.
It
to come
really
into
was.
the fore.
Jessica Simpson had one.
I don't think I know who that is.
She's a singer. She's shit.
Okay.
And she had a programme where her and her thick ass husband did a. I can't remember what it was called. It was something to do with being in love. I don't know. Newlyweds. I think it was called Newlyweds because they'd literally just got married, and so it was about their life. And she was talking about buffalo wings and asking what animal they came off of, because I think she thought it did come off a chicken or a fish.
I've seen that every single. So this is. I think this summed up 2003 for me in a lot of ways. Is that when you look up all of the websites that sort of give you an overview of 2003, that is the only quote from anyone that I've seen.
Yeah.
And it just, it's something like, which bit of the buffalo
Yeah,
does
which
the
bit of the
chicken
buffalo
wings
does
come
the
off?
chicken wing off? And the other one, sorry, and I'm getting them two mixed up, because I think she might have also been the one that said, she's got a can of tuna, but it says chicken of the sea on it, and she cannot fathom, but it's tuna. Why does it say chicken?
But why does it say chicken of the sea?
I don't know, because it's a widely farmed, horrible thing of the
I
sea.
see, right.
That's the idea. But she's literally sitting there, crying. She doesn't understand why it's called Chicken of the Sea. So culture really fucking died this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've said this before on this podcast, but this is quite an interesting year for me because, generally speaking, I think the late 90s and very early noughties were just the absolute zenith of when everything died culturally. And I think 2003 is just the point where it's starting to show a couple of signs of like coming out the other side, maybe. But it's also absolutely a shitstorm of the worst fucking shit that you could possibly imagine. And I think, cultural events wise, like there's just so much. There's nothing of any worth.
I think you're right. I think like music reality shows started. Things like
Pop
American Idol and
stars
Pop
and
Stars really came into their own. Like it was a bad kind of time for people being glued. I mean, I wonder what Big Brother was up to at this point. It probably would have been in its third or fourth year. So people are really like hyped up about reality TV. And I think The Apprentice starts and all this kind of shit.
And I think there's probably something, although I have no evidence of this, but I think I'm probably right in saying this. It was the time where like cable channels were starting to really get out of hand as far as the amount of them that there was.
Yeah, I guess
there was just becoming, now towards like the world that we live in now, where I guess there's just any TV made about any old shit is being watched by a handful of people.
Although some good TV came out that year.
It did.
I'm going to start with Peepshow. You've not watched Peepshow.
I've watched Peepshow. I just don't like it. Really.
Oh, you suck! You're so wrong about not liking Peepshow. Peepshow is the best fucking thing I've ever seen. Although the first season is a bit.
It's so grey. It's so British. It's so Croydon.
It's very Croydon. But you're more into like American TV as is anyway.
No, not necessarily. Like. I mean, but there was stuff from this kind of era.
Fair enough.
That was UK based that I enjoyed, but I don't know. I don't like things that are boring, like purposefully boring. And I know that Peepshow is taking the piss out of the banalities of life. Yeah. In so many ways, but it's like I just don't want to watch the banalities of life. I don't understand why that's funny. I've never really. It's the same as The Office. Like more so the English Office, admittedly, than the American Office. But I don't really find it very funny to see people just like being boring. That isn't in of itself an amusing thing to me.
Yeah, fair enough, but I just fucking love Peepshow. I didn't watch it at the time. Again, I don't know. I probably would have been watching the shitty reality end of stuff. Like I don't know. I definitely wasn't watching Peepshow. I only found out about Peepshow when I was in sixth form. I think they were in season 3 by the time I even really knew that it existed. So Christ knows what I was watching actually in 2003. There was a year where, and actually it probably was then, where the summer of this year I got addicted to Food Network. And I just watched, like, and I think you were doing the same thing at your time.
The sad bit of my life where I just watched people make meat for no reason was, like, way later.
No, I think 2003 was the year that I got addicted to the Food Network. And back then, they only had about 6 hours of viewing content. Yeah. So they had, like, maybe 12 half-hour episodes of things. And then what they would do is they would just start them again. So I used to watch it from like 8 till, 2, and then be like, I've forgotten how Rick Stein made that fish. And I would probably watch it again.
You've literally just described clinical depression.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was bad. I don't know why that happened. But, we've moved past it. I really like cooking now.
Well, if that's what you were doing, you definitely wouldn't have watched the really good TV that was being made. So one of the things that started in 2003 was Arrested Development. Which we've rewatched the first season of, pretty much.
It's fucking brilliant.
It is just perfect. It's difficult. I'm sure most people have seen Arrested Development. There's probably no need to describe it, really. But it is one of those programmes that I just think is written so well. It's like there's just something funny, actually funny, and quite subtly funny, but actually laugh out loud funny is happening all the constantly time. From the start of the episode to the end of the episode.
So I looked up some facts about Arrested Development in this, and the first episode, the pilot episode, had something like, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but it doesn't matter. Say a standard script for a 20-minute episode is about 12 pages. Yeah. This had like 24 pages. It was way longer than any other script for the thing of its time. And it's just because it had so many one-liners and like little like interjections.
I was going to say, it's not just the one line. It's not just what people say. It's also just shit that's going on in the background. Just like really subtle things. And I don't know, there's like these continuing jokes that start in episode 1 and then you're in the third season and it will just come up again. And so it's so clever.
And
made.
There's tons of little clever things and there's so many cameos. They never pay big attention to their cameos because they have so many cameos that sometimes I think Jack Black has a non-speaking background part in one episode.
I didn't know that.
Because they just have so many people that want to be in it or they want to be in it.
Yeah.
Another thing is one of the characters has a girlfriend who the joke is that she's really forgettable, and actually over the course of the episode she appears in, 3 different actresses play her, and the idea is that you never notice that.
Yeah, there's
because
a lot of
it's
subtle things
just fucking
going on.
brilliant.
Yeah, they do a really good job of displaying absolute narcissism and personality disorder and to some extent psychopathy. And it's really interesting because that stuff's all, again, it's all really, none of that is important you could watch it and not even give it a second thought whatsoever. And there's one more that I'll just mention really quickly, which is a show that I think a lot of people missed. It was on HBO and the first season started in 2003, and it's called Carnivale or Carnivale. I'm not actually sure how you say it. It's Carnival with an E on the end.
Yeah, fancy carnival.
It's about a Dust Bowl circus that's travelling through town. It's really but there's loads of weird shit that's going on.
Cool. We only just watched it recently.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. Really, really fucking weird. The problem with it is there's 2 seasons of it, and it definitely got cancelled halfway through the second season, so they just kind of wrap it up really quickly.
Yeah.
But they do quite a good job of it, but it's definitely worth watching if you ever get a chance where you can find it online or whatever. Carnivale is fucking brilliant.
The internet went weird in 2003, and 2 things happened. Napster. Mm-hmm. Although I think it happened earlier than that, but it became legal in or they made a legal version of it by the end of the year. It became illegal, and then they made a legal pay for it version, and it died. And in its place, iTunes started, or Apple Music as it was known then, and thus began the death of CDs and records and the creation of buying music online. Which,
I mean, I think what happened was there was a lawsuit in 2003, which is quite famous, where I don't know exactly who it was, if it was just the publishing people or whatever.
Yeah.
They sued, but they found 1,000 people that had downloaded songs illegally. And they sued them all, and it included, I think there was a 12-year-old girl that got sued personally.
Oh my God.
And so obviously they were in a really strange place at that point. I think 2003 was the end of when everyone was just so confused about how media was going to continue.
Yeah.
Because people were starting to steal stuff on the internet. Record sales were starting to go down. People could see that this thing called the internet, which no one really knew that much about even at this point, was about to become this massive thing, and that you could start sharing files. Torrents were coming about. Like Napster. Napster was
Pirate
massive.
Bay. That was probably a bit later, actually.
No, I think it probably existed then, but it definitely became big later. And I think it influenced an awful lot of things, because I think that there was even big bands, they just didn't know what was going to happen. Record sales just completely went off the cliff. But it hadn't fully happened yet, so there was still they hadn't caught up. It was one of those times whereby I think the record labels hadn't quite caught up and worked out how they were going to do it. So it was way before the advent of Bandcamp and Spotify and all that sort of stuff. And actually that sort of stuff couldn't even exist. So all that could happen was you could illegally download these songs. And they were trying to work out a way of monetising that. And I think that's what iTunes did. But I remember when iTunes came out, it just seemed absurd. You could go on one website and pay £1 for a song, or you could go on another website and just get it for free.
Get it for free,
and so it was a really strange time, and definitely, there was a lot of talk. It was kind of probably similar to when in the 80s everybody got worried because cassettes were killing music, because you could just record cassettes and give them to your mates.
That's true.
And it was sort of a bit like that, but I think it was even worse. And obviously what's happened is it did kill physical media for a certain period of time. And then now I think everyone's kind of worked it out. And it's the start of, I think, quite a good phase in history where independence has taken back over. So now record labels, what's the point in record labels?
No,
really,
people are doing it a bit more themselves. As it were.
Well, I think what was known as DIY culture in the early 2000s is what literally
the norm now.
Fucking Coldplay are probably do. You know what I mean? Maybe not quite.
Yeah,
but,
maybe
really well-known big bands.
Yeah,
that's just the norm, because there's absolutely no point whatsoever in having just a middleman.
And I feel and I don't know what the singles chart looks like nowadays, but it's not even important. Music's moved beyond what kind of is popular and what sells well, as to just how can you get it to people, and people have worked out, like you say, Bandcamp and putting things out themselves is the way to get it to people. And so you probably are selling as much as you'd want to, but I don't know, it's not really important as to whether it charts or as to whether it even kind of gets shared that way.
Yeah, totally.
Which is where there was a time where that might have been the case.
And of course, in 2003, that was the only way that anyone could judge anything.
Yeah.
So, it was like if suddenly these singles weren't getting in the charts. And it was around about this time, I feel like it might have been slightly earlier, that they started all sorts of different things. Like the charts started taking into consideration when people downloaded songs for their
ringtones. Shit.
And that sort of stuff. So there was loads of stuff going on where they were just desperately...
I think that's this kind of time, actually.
They were desperately trying to work out a way to kind of say, look, we've got these charts, for example, this music chart.
They're still relevant.
It's made sense for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
So what the fuck do we do now? Because suddenly no one's buying these things. So how do we... So they were just like... Everyone was scrambling around trying to work out. And then also they were trying to monetize all this stuff, which at that time just seemed impossible to monetize because no one had worked out that... Yeah. And I think as well... I mean, another... Like, the internet absolutely was like changing the face of the world. This was a really like pivotal time for the world changing into the one that we probably have now. And another aspect of this, which I think had some connotations on music and stuff, was that MySpace was launched.
Oh my gosh!
So MySpace wasn't big until 2005.
I think pre-MySpace, it was just that. The only thing that really existed, it wasn't for young people, it was for people who'd been at school trying to find their old friends. What the fuck was that called? Friends Reunited. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that prior to MySpace, that was almost the only kind of like social engagement, have a profile platform that really existed. Yeah. And then MySpace came along and it was like, shit, anyone can do this now. And it kind of it took over everything for so long. We made loads of fake profiles for all the kids at school that we didn't like. And we made one for this guy. And about 2 years later, I just got an email and it just said, "What is Boom Shake the Room?" question mark, with nothing else on it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And so I checked who it was and I was trying to work it out, and it had come via Friends Reunited. And so I clicked on his thing, and basically one of my mates had just made a profile for this guy. They'd drawn a picture of his face, and he had this, I don't know why, they made him have really tiny features and a massive head. Yeah. And it said like his name and it made up birthday and like a made up town from where he lived, and literally the description of like, what have you been up to for the last 10 years or something, it just said Boom Shake the Room and nothing else, and that was his entire profile. And he obviously saw that he was on there, got eggy, and didn't understand what Boom Shake the Room was, and he just sent me this email, and I was just like, my god, where do I start? Jesus Christ, that poor man. But yeah, I think 2003 was a year in which social media didn't really exist. No, well, that's it. I remember getting MySpace, but yeah, it was so new that I think nothing like that had happened before it. And then, I mean, look at the world now. Well, no, exactly. I mean, it's so different. It's crazy. So different. It's crazy. Yeah. Well, one terrible thing that happened in 2003 was that the Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown was released. Oh my god, I forgot about books. I read that book. Not that year. I read the first 30 pages of it and it made me feel physically unwell. It's so bad. I read the whole thing and it probably only took me a day and a half because it is literally drivel. I remember my dad saying, this is a great book, son. This is a great book. I read his Angels and Demons a little while ago. That was great. Now I've got this Da Vinci Code, fucking great. This book. And he lent it to me and he kept bothering me and he kept saying, you ready yet? And yeah, I read the first 30 pages and I thought that's enough. And I had a really long conversation with him about it where I just winged it based on the first page. And it was easy to do because you knew exactly what the fuck was going to happen. It's such a terrible, terrible book. I think I really liked it. Really? Yeah. Probably for like. I think a kid's book. Probably read it about. I could sort of see that, I guess, if you know, because it was really. Not to say that you were basic when you were 14, but it's like. I mean, I was. I remember I was addicted to the Food Network. Yeah, exactly. For someone who's otherwise just watching Paris Hilton and her mate get confused on a farm, the Da Vinci Code is fucking high literature. Oh mate, it felt highbrow at the time, but again, being 14 and living in Norfolk and just not really doing anything with your life. Harry Potter Order of the Phoenix came out. Let's just mull over that quickly. I remember that came out, and I remember there being a queue outside Waterstones. That was the fat one, wasn't it? As in, it was the big book. Yeah. It was one of their biggest ones. That was the one where Harry Potter gets heavy. Yeah, no, I remember that coming out. I still haven't read a Harry Potter book, and don't anyone try and tell me it's good, because you can all fuck off and die.
I don't think anybody in the year 2021 is going to start telling you that Harry Potter is good.
I think depressingly, there's a fucking Harry Potter world, Harry Potter musical that, to my knowledge, probably still has a year waiting list to go. Like, even though she, you know, J.K. Rowling's a fucking cunt, people still like Harry Potter.
Can you replace Johnny Cash with someone else? Because we could put J.K. Rowling in the
Oh,
ground.
1,000 times. I'd put her in the ground. I'd put her in the ground, dig her back up, reanimate her, and keep putting her in the ground.
You just want to kill her over and over and over
she
again.
can fucking...
Keep bludgeoning
She's so
her.
awful. So yeah, no, she'd be gone.
One last thing that I've got, which I just want to mention. I wasn't really sure where to mention this because officially it's a film.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it is more of a cultural event. It certainly was a cultural event in my life. Was that in 2003 the film The Corporation came out.
Oh, okay.
And if anyone hasn't seen The Corporation, I just want to bring this up mostly because it is actually on YouTube and it's in full. And so I'll put it on
in its very long full.
Yeah, and I'll put it on our YouTube playlist. It's probably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. And it has a really, really important message which I feel like has been lost very much over the last 20 years. I think that 2003 was kind of the end of, like, post kind of late 90s, like, anarchism, really, I suppose, like the Seattle protests, and then stuff like No Logo by Naomi Klein. Like, these things were really big for a while, and they were all just, like, real anti-corporate sentiment things. That were talking about branding and talking about the way corporations are taking over the world. And I do feel like, although I don't think anyone's ignorant to it, I think there's much more of an acceptance of the inevitability of corporations being involved in everything and us being comfortable to use their computer software and their, you know, fucking everything. It's just a fucking brilliant film. And the conceit of it is that corporations have to operate in a certain way, and there's a rules in law of how a corporation has to operate. And what this film does is it compares it to the psychopathy test and compares the way that corporations, not the individuals involved in the corporations, but the idea of a corporation itself, which in law is actually a person. Yeah. So Nike is a person in law.
Yeah,
so
in law.
Nike itself can be tried. If Nike does something wrong, the people behind that aren't tried. Nike itself is tried. And so it uses that as an idea to basically prove that corporations are psychopaths. And
it uses the DSM-4 like definition, like diagnostic testing, doesn't it, to prove it, that corporation is a psychopath. Yeah,
but yeah, it's an incredibly interesting film. It's definitely, you know, it's one-sided, but it is, you know, it has a lot of people interviewed that are. There's some amazing interviews in there.
Yeah.
There's some amazingly honest interviews with people, some of whom have been CEOs of corporations, some of whom were at the time still CEOs of corporations. There's a lot of people that are involved in playing parts in the evil that corporations do that are interviewed, and they're just brazen about it because they don't think that they're doing anything wrong. You know, they're talking about things like trying to trick toddlers into learning about what McDonald's is by implanting little jingles into their brain and stuff. And these people, they're proud of it because what they're doing is actually, it's really impressive, like psychologically and, you know, socially.
And in the world,
really
they're
impressive.
Celebrated for it.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, capitalism, it can only work if it continues to grow, which is fucking mental. So it's all about growing, making money, getting more customers, making more money. Yeah. Like, so it doesn't matter how you do it if the end goal is... Yeah, anyway, everyone knows that. It's disgusting. I only watched this documentary very recently because on your suggestion, and it's... you said it blew your mind back in 2003, and I think it blew my little mind because I'm not going to lie, I'm not the most politically aware, the most socially aware in general. I think I like to have a small little bubble and keep a nice life, which is ignorant in some ways and self-preserving in others. Yeah. But, and to be honest, I don't see a problem with it. But watching this did blow my little mind a bit because I guess I couldn't have really summed up I couldn't have said that I really understood capitalism. Like, I knew it's bad and I know the gist of it. But, like, this documentary was like, okay, I understand why people get really fucking livid about certain things now. I think I maybe understand your point of views a bit better, rather than my laissez-faire, like, well, if it's not nice, I won't get involved, but I'm not going to learn about it.
Yeah, I think in 2003 it was the thing that made me really... I've been listening to punk music a lot. I tried to get into this stuff a lot. Yeah. And there was a few things that, you know, there was a few, like, really basic political ideas that came out directly out of music that I kind of understood, I think. And then I'd started reading Crime Think probably around about this time, but their stuff was way beyond my abilities at that point. And I think generally speaking, and it was I think it would have been about the time that like Michael Moore had started making all of his documentaries and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Which were always, which to me, they're fine. They're fine. But this is just on a completely different level to that. And it took a really complicated subject and it explained it in a way that me, age 23, which was even more dumb than I am now, it made me understand so much about like so many different things.
It comes from a like, if you already like Adam Curtis documentaries, then you've probably already seen this.
Yeah, it's a bit more factual and dry.
That's it. It is, but it's kind of like, I feel like it drives home messages in the same sort of way. So like you say, this one presents it more as a like, this is the information.
Yeah,
it's really quite clear.
Yeah,
rather than ideas.
So yeah, you should definitely watch The Corporation anyway.
Yeah.
I really would absolutely.
It's life improving.
Yeah, it's a little bit outdated now, and like I say, I think that the world that we live in now is so corporate that almost some of its ideas have just been. It's not that they're any less important. It's just that they've been completely lost to the I don't know. Corporations are so much bigger than they even were back then, which is one of the really.
It's kind of horrible because it was scary then, and you go, ha, that's nothing.
Yeah.
You should see the world now.
Yeah.
But anyway, you should definitely watch it. So we should probably move on to the next section, which is music.
If you can take it away, Timebot. Very good.
Right. On February the 3rd, 2003, who was arrested on suspicion of murder of Lana Clarkson, the actress and model?
A musician killed someone in 2003.
Yeah. And if it helps, they went to prison and they died there. They didn't go to prison straight
Phil
away.
Spector. Yeah. Was that in 2003?
2003, but he didn't get put in prison until 2009, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was maybe even later.
It was
than
a
that,
long
but
time later, yeah. But yeah, well, Wangstein.
Held the Ramones hostage with a gun.
Did he?
Yeah, the Ramones went round to his house to talk about him producing one of their albums. And they wanted to leave after a little while just because they thought the thing was over. And he said, just give me a minute. And he went into the other room, got a shotgun and came back in and wouldn't let them leave for about 2 days.
So weirdly in this one, he pretty much said he did it immediately after. Said, oh God, I've shot her or something. But then later said that it was suicide and that she kissed the gun.
Oh.
And that it was just a botched weird suicide and it wasn't him. But obviously people saw through that. And
Phil Spector made some incredible music, which is untouchable, but he was a horrible man.
Yeah, disgraceful human being, made a good Christmas album. Celine Dion, everyone's favourite,
Jesus Christ.
starts a Las Vegas residency. How long did it continue and how many shows did she do?
So I don't know if this is indicative of this answer, but I thought it was way later than that. So I don't know whether therefore she was doing it for did she do it for about 10 years or something?
Not quite, but it felt longer. 5 years,
Okay.
and she did 717 shows.
Jesus Christ.
Quite a lot, 'cause she was
Imagine
quite
if you were like Celine Dion's bass player and you had to sit through 700 and however many shows.
She's
just
alright.
plonking along, just playing the G, D and E over and over again in different ways.
What about the emotional build-up in It's All Coming Back to Me Now? Every night.
And you just have to sit on a high stool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it must be no
imagine.
fun.
I bet he had a soul patch. Go on.
Speaking of soul patches, Billy Corgan announces the split of his current band. What were they called?
Zwan.
Ah.
But for the record, Billy Corgan's never had a soul patch. Don't start throwing
not?
that around.
He
I don't
looks
think
like
so.
he looks like
I don't
exactly
think he's
the man
ever
with a
been
soul
able
patch.
to grow a beard.
He looks like he could get that tiny little nasty bit there, though.
It does look like it, doesn't it?
So I realised that you probably don't know many other songs that were big in 2003 because when
That's
we
very presumptuous.
well, when we looked at the top
I was
50,
in my prime.
when we looked at the top 50, I realised you didn't know any of them and I knew loads. So I'm going to read you some lyrics. You're going to have to finish the lyric and then try and guess the song and the person who sang it.
Jesus Christ. Go on.
Ready?
Do it in Norfolk.
No? Oh yeah, might actually. Yeah, do you know what? Fuck it. We haven't had any Norfolk. I'll have a go. That's why I'm all up in your grill, trying to get you to a hotel. You must be a football coach. What's the next lyric?
Because I'm taking you to hell.
The way you got me playing the field.
Oh, that doesn't even rhyme.
I know.
Mine was better than theirs. Who was it?
He did a mini... I'm going to give you some clues.
Oh, this is R. Kelly, because I know...
Yeah! That's so depressing.
Oh.
Midget in a closet. Alright, another one. Why is there no champagne in the chiller? My flows, you don't know, them get iller.
Please, can I have a delicious dinner?
That's fucking close. That's fucking close. Fuck. If you know cook, you know get no dinner.
Oh. Who's that? Oh, I've got a guess, sorry.
Yeah. English?
English, from 2003. Daniel Bedingfield.
Woman?
Oh.
But Daniel Bedingfield was big in 2003, so that's
I know.
weird.
No, I've been looking.
Oh yeah, sorry, we were looking
music.
at that. So these, this.
Oh, is it green?
This,
Sugar Babes?
No. Bear with me. So this lady was in a group that had a song the year before.
Right.
Called 21 Seconds.
Oh, that's the So Solid Crew.
Yeah, do you remember the lady name?
No. MC
No.
Jump Around.
Lisa Mafia.
Oh, I wouldn't
all
have
over.
got that. I know you say it,
Right, my last one. This girl don't know that she'll be dealing with Mello. That's the name of the man who's singing, but don't worry, it doesn't give it away.
Mr. Mello.
So, Mello was singing this. He's called Mello D. This girl don't know that she'll be dealing with Mello. I see you grinding in the club.
I think my balls appear to have turned yellow. No, I'm going down the fucking pub.
Cheeks soft like a pillow.
Oh.
As in bum cheeks, I reckon, because some of the other lyrics, the mic gets the ticket, goes to sip it, yo, freaky deaky shit, flick it, lick it good.
Is that Colonel Sanders?
This is a British group.
A British group. Is it Blue?
No, but I thought you were going to say it.
Is it? Oh, so it begins with a B, does it? Is it Busted?
No,
it can't be Busted.
They're a 10-piece hip-hop group.
Oh, I think I know.
Do you?
Yeah.
Go on.
Were they children? Is
Yeah.
it Blazing Squad?
Yeah. Flip reverse it. Blazing Squad.
Is one of Blazing Squad called Melody?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know which. I mean, literally none of them do anything and look different to each other. So yeah.
They all look like sperms with haircuts.
They
too.
all are. Well, essentially, they are that useless Y chromosome that gives nothing to the human race, or whatever you said earlier.
Well, so like last time, we're now going to go through the top 20.
Are you going to go 20 to 1? Or are you going to go 1 to 20?
We're going to start at the bottom and go
Start at the
up.
bottom, go up. Yes,
Yeah,
I
of
like
course.
this. Good.
We're going to do exactly what we did last time, I think. Right, are you ready?
Yes.
So, in at number 20, Jamelia with Superstar.
Yep, I remember that song.
Was Jamelia good? Did she do...
Jamelia is actually, I think, an okay person. She's either an okay person or a really terrible person.
Alright, cool.
I think she's... I think I remember her as okay, but something might have come out saying she was terrible. I don't know. Women, forgive me if I've got that wrong, but I think she was good.
Why only women?
Because I think she either is really pro, like, done some nice feminist stuff, or she said something really anti-women at some point. I think she's good, but I could be wrong.
In at number 19,
Yeah.
Fat Man Scoop featuring the Crooklyn Clan with Be Faithful.
I don't know that song,
No,
but I
don't
do
know the
remember
song.
Fat Man Scoop having a song where he goes, Crooklyn Clan, because that must be his friend.
Cool. In at number 18, Daniel Bedingfield, If You're Not the One. So Daniel Bedingfield was just
If you've
like
got a fact.
the height of mediocrity. He was just a normal, completely untalented, uninteresting human being in a shirt.
Yeah. I really specifically remember him in a shirt. And he had that haircut, that like quiff.
Yeah, he had
That just
nothing
everyone had.
nothing about him that made him in any way special, and yet
He was like
somehow,
David Gray kind of looking.
Yeah, but even blander.
Yeah. He was
Not
nice.
blander looking.
Can you be blander than David Gray?
Daniel Bedingfield.
Maybe, yeah. Sorry, yes.
Number 17, XTM and DJ Chucky presents Ania with their song Fly on the Wings of Love.
I think No.
Not a good one.
No.
Number 16, David Sneddon with Stop Living the Lie. I feel like I
Sneddon.
recognise the name David Sneddon. But
I think probably one of those like reality pop star show winners.
I
think-
bet he was as well.
That's the only reason I remember that name.
I
Bad.
bet he was well bland.
I think he might have looked blander than Daniel Bedingfield. God, I recognise him, but I don't know Why?
According to Wikipedia, he's a Scottish singer, songwriter, musician, and music producer of contemporary pop music.
Jesus.
He's also 2 years older than I am. So actually, in these pictures, he must be about 25.
Gosh.
He looks like a little boy.
He does look like a little boy. With that name as well. Like, no offence, David Sneddon does sound like your geography teacher, not this young little thing with a quiff. Again, quiff, that 2003 quiff.
So, yeah, let's describe that haircut very quickly. It's quite an important one. It's like a French crop, a long French crop, but where at the front...
Do you know what a French crop is? Oh, you do. You've got a GMVQ. I don't know what a French crop is.
That was a weird thing that no one's going to understand. So it's like hair pushed down towards the front, but then the very front row of the hair up in a
like
little...
the in-between,
Liberty
the dude from the In-Betweeners haircut. People will know.
yeah, definitely, just like that. I know that one.
Yeah.
So what's David Sneddon doing now? His album 7 Years 10 Weeks peaked at number 5 in the UK, brackets, not bad, and he's now part of a songwriting team, The Nexus. They even wrote the national anthem for Lana Del Rey. Is Lana Del Rey a country now?
What?
Does she need a national anthem?
Does she need a national anthem?
Which is pretty bloody impressive. This is direct from Google. He also co-wrote the song Lost on You for Lewis Capaldi's debut EP.
Oh, I've heard of this Lewis Capaldi. I think he's just a famous internet boy. Similar, he's probably not much older than the people that were born in 2003.
Well, he can go in the ground.
Yeah.
Next up, at number 15, we've got Ultra Beat with Pretty Green Eyes.
You actually do sound like a chart announcer just then. Next up! Like, not Tony Blackburn. It's the only person I could think of.
Yeah, no, Tony Blackburn used to do it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for ages, even when it was like, he probably did it
when
in
he
2003.
didn't know what he was talking
just
about.
Just like a 90-year-old man
He might have even said...
Next up, road.
He might have even said next up at number 15.
He probably did.
At some point.
What do you make of Ultra Beat? Any good?
It's another dance song. I don't really know it. No.
Cool.
It was just a thing.
Number 14, Kevin Little with Turn Me On.
So I do remember this song.
I know way more of these songs
this was like a dance hall-y kind of style song long before, because now the charts is kind of full with like white people trying to do dance hall music, which is really bad. Whereas this guy is legit from the like Caribbean sort of way, as far as I'm aware, and actually it was quite a good song. Good. I'm not going to sing it again because no one needs that. Well done, Kevin Little.
Sing it in Norfolk for a bit.
No.
You were going to then.
I know, I nearly did.
Number 13 is Dido. I really almost called her
Jesus.
Dildo. So close. Dido
so
with
many
White
people would
Flag.
have. Yeah, terrible song.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a joke.
Do I need to even know?
No, probably not. Let's tell our story about Dido.
We do have a story about Dido. Come to Hastings, everybody, and we'll take you to this pub called The Clown. It's beautiful. It's
one of the most
teeny
amazing
tiny,
places in the entire
strange.
world.
We'd always been a bit weirded out about going in there because it's just got loads of like, you can tell, just like hardcore locals. But lo and behold, we were walking home from the cafe on St George's Day and thought, fuck it, today of all days.
We didn't know it was St George's Day.
I think I did.
Well, I did.
For some reason. But anyway, we went in there, 5 o'clock. Everyone is absolutely fucking wanking. By everyone, I mean all 5 people that are in there, which does fill the pub, by the way.
Yeah. And they're drunk enough for about 50, I reckon.
They are smashed. There's a man comatose on the bar. There's a couple sat on their own next to the radiator. One's wearing a silver suit, very non-assuming. And they're all just watching this one woman singing into her hairbrush, screaming the words to, I think, this song.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time it got to the chorus, the guy at the bar who was asleep would just throw his head back and just scream with the chorus, and then he'd slump
and then go back down, yeah.
And you're missing the man in the silver suit, the woman that was with him, started doing a lap dance after a little while.
Yeah. to this woman singing like the
This
Dido.
is the first time we'd ever been in there. We never drunk a pint quicker in our lives.
I think we were out in 20 minutes.
But since, been back a lot.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
Number 12, Eminem, Lose Yourself.
So Eminem and Dido did a song together.
Oh, they did. Is that
Prior
not how
to this.
Dido became known?
Famous, yeah, it is actually. Eminem, Lose Yourself has the lyrics, his palms are sweaty, vomit on a sweater already, mum's spaghetti.
There's something to be said about the fact that Eminem is taken quite seriously as an artist by a massive part of the population of people that were around this time. There's something to be said about how turdy culture was, that Eminem is seen by a great group of people as being a bit of a poet.
Yeah.
And like...
Mum's spaghetti.
And an actual talented human being. Just because there was
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that Eminem is far more talented, definitely, than everybody
Probably the
else
most talented one
on
on this list. Ooh,
unquestionably.
there's one person more talented.
Oh, I wonder. I think I know who that is, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
But it's just sad that culture was at such a low ebb that Eminem appears to be, particularly in a pop aspect, appears to be like fucking William Burroughs.
William Burroughs.
Number 11, Junior Senior, Move Your Feet. That's don't stop the beat. Yeah, I know that one.
Get control of your feet. I actually like that song.
That's a good song. Number 10, talking about good songs.
Oh, I forgot this existed.
This is a cover of the song Spirit in the Sky by Gareth Gates and the Kumars. Explain to our overseas friends who are listening to this podcast what the fuck that is.
So the Kumars, it was a program about an Indian family. It was called The Kumars at number 42.
Yeah.
I don't know that I actually ever watched it.
I mean, it was a real middle of the road, like proper BBC One prime time.
Yeah.
On some levels, I suppose at the time it was probably quite a good thing to have Indian people who you should root for on the telly.
And I think, if I remember rightly, one of the actors was in EastEnders, who was doing a really good storyline with his family there. And many of these actors had come from Goodness Gracious Me that had done really well, but only lasted 3 years and was like comedy. So this was like the comedy drama that you were meant to be like really invested in the family.
But this was the absolute zenith. I remember it was super popular this time.
No, it was huge. They might have even like Christmas number 1 or something stupid.
Well, Spirit in the fucking Sky. So, furthermore, please explain to our international listeners what the fuck is a Gareth Gates.
So Gareth Gates either was the winner or was the runner-up.
No, he was lost. He was the second.
He was the second.
Yeah.
So he lost to Will Young in the very first. What would we have called it? Pop Stars? Was it called Pop Stars?
Yeah, I think so.
It was the very first singing competition program. I think
in the
so.
UK, I think.
Well, David Sneddon must have won one as well. So I have no idea what's going on.
No, but this is Gareth Gates on his way out.
Oh yeah, true.
This was a few years earlier, so he'd been his
Gareth
star
Gates
had shone.
Gareth Gates had been number 2. He was famous for having a stutter.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And going out with Katie Price for a bit.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's Jordan,
or was it,
right?
Was it Katie Price or was it the other one that had boobs? No offence, but they really...
I mean, it doesn't matter.
The other model that was a page 3 model. So he's famous for being like... submissive to this page 3 model, and the Kumars were the off that program,
and they covered
and they made a song and they covered Spirit in the Sky. Which is a really good song.
What a time! Well,
was it Doctor and the Medics? Was it originally? Yeah, but Gareth Gates. They did it for children in need.
Well, at number 9, not for children in need, probably for Oliver Cheetham, is Room 5 featuring Oliver Cheetham with their song "Make Love" LUV. I mean, I added the.
Do you remember that?
No, not at all.
I like to party. Everybody does.
God, that's
the really
shit.
basic, boring song that came out that year.
Yeah. Number 8, Girls Aloud, Sound of the Underground. I would argue whatever that was not the Sound of the Underground. Other than that, I've got nothing else to say.
Do you know who Girls Aloud are?
I do. Oh, no, I know who Girls Aloud are.
Girls Aloud, it's interesting that song came out this year because Cheryl Cole was in that band and she got arrested for battering a toilet attendant this year.
This year?
Yeah, so they'd only just come out and then she was racially abusive and battered a toilet attendant in the very same year that they got famous. So that's good.
She can go in Johnny Cash's grave.
Yeah.
Number 7, Beyonce, Crazy in Love. That's
talented person.
That's a banger. Do you think? Oh, that's not who
I dread to think who else you're.
I actually no. We'll get to it.
Beyonce is the talent of this list. She is allowed to. I will credit her with being a brilliant human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's all right. Number 6. Tattoo, all the things she said. I mean, I think that 2 underage girls pretending to be lesbians probably sums up 2003 better than anything in the entire world.
They also were Russia's Eurovision entry this year as well.
Was it this year?
Yeah, and they were like number really 5 or something.
It was bad.
They got high up, probably because of this having already been out.
In fairness, it's a pretty catchy song. I don't mind it.
I think it's a brilliant song, but its premise is bad.
Number 5, 50 Cent. with his song In Da Club.
In that club. Is this the person who you thought was going to be?
No, certainly not. Jesus Christ.
They're the genius in the list. He got shot in the face a few times. That's all I know about him.
He's a horrible prick.
Yeah, he's not really
Number
good.
4, although he's not the most horrible prick on this list by any means.
Oh yeah, no, we're getting to them.
Number 4, Blue Cantrell featuring Sean Paul with Breathe.
I like this song.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
There are some Sean Paul songs I don't hate, and Blue Cantrell was an interesting looking woman, and I didn't hate this song. It's bad, really.
Easily pleased.
Yeah.
I suppose, again, if it only was going up against the Cooking Channel, then I suppose anything seems good. And talking about anything seeming good, at number 3, Evanescence with Bring Me to Life.
The only kind of alternative thing in this list.
Yeah, well,
Semi.
if you can call it alternative. If you can call Christian rock with someone doing a little rap in the middle of it.
Amy Lee, is that her name?
Yeah, that's the other person. I thought you were going to say she was the other person.
She is a talent. She's not. Beyonce's better, but Amy Lee set a path.
I think I agree. I agree with that. But yeah, this song's all right. And actually, that first Evanescence album, I'm going to regret saying this and probably be mocked for it. But it's all right. It's not
Don't
bad.
worry, I've already said I like Sean Paul and Blue Cantrell, so you're not going to lose. I hated this song at the time because you could not go anywhere without hearing it.
Yeah.
I remembered all the words, which surprised me. I'm not going to do it now.
I'm not asking you
No.
to. I mean, I would say Evanescence sums up what happened to kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, this is a bit unfair because it's definitely the popular end of it, but what happened to heavy metal around about this time, if you can even call it heavy metal, is just the sheer amount of production that became involved in making any sort of... almost any guitar music, but particularly within that genre.
I feel like Bullet for My Valentine appear now.
It's slightly later, they're slightly after this.
They're only next year,
it's not far.
And it starts going from there. Trivium and shit like that start now, don't
Trivium, all right. Number 2, the worst person on this list.
Yes.
R. Kelly, Ignition remix.
Which we've quoted already today.
Good job, we don't need to say anything
Remix
about that.
to Ignition, hot and fresh in the
You don't need
kitchen.
to sing.
There's a midget in the cupboard, what else have I said? God, he was a bad man, isn't he?
Number 1.
Oh.
This band is a load of fucking shit. The Black Eyed Peas with Where Is the Love. The Black Eyed Peas absolutely sum up everything that is bad about culture at this time.
This song was considered
Talentless,
to be like
worthless,
political and just... It was beautiful and like, oh my gosh, they are saying what everyone is thinking right now.
Well, it means that no one was fucking thinking anything.
Exactly. We
that
went to war that year,
just says that everyone was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
The Black Eyed Peas are, I would say, the worst fucking thing in the entire world ever. They are.
R. Kelly?
They're not even a band. Yeah, he makes better music. At least he put a midget in the cupboard. The Black Eyed Peas, it's just production and nothing else. And that's not me talking as an old man. I wasn't an old man when this was coming out. It's not music. It's an excuse.
Are you
to
sure?
make
Because I'm
noise.
pretty sure they did a song about humps, which could have been boobs or bum. Who knows?
Doesn't matter, does it?
What are you going to do with all that junk inside that trunk?
Black Eyed Peas are
I'm
like,
going to get you drunk.
like FHM put to a beat. Horrible shit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Well, it's a shame that...
Let's talk about all the really good music that was made in 2003.
It was quite hard because I have mentioned earlier that this was the year that I probably started going to gigs, started getting into music. And unfortunately, it was the kind of year that all the bands that were good didn't really put anything out. And bands like Brand New, Sum 41, really shit pop punk took over. And then the bands that were battling it didn't battle it, they just kind of went with it. So Rancid did a really bad album that year. Les and Jake did their worst album, which they considered their best and is their financially best selling one, Anthem, which is fucking horse shit. Alkaline Trio do a bad album but is considered a good one. Loads of shit like that come out. The Ataris exist. Simple Plan exist.
It
and
was
so
like
it's
the time
really
that horrible drive-through record sound came through. That kind of. Like...
I mean, I went to see every drive-through band
no,
that
I'm sure.
year.
But I mean, that was definitely if you were going to sum up. I mean, if you Google punk albums from 2003. There's a couple of like alright ones. There's nothing great. I mean, there's nothing that you would pick out as being great, but we'll go through them. But definitely that is the sound, I would say, that of this era, like boy bands with guitars.
Dashboard Confessional had
totally.
their first big album this year.
Every gig
Forever.
I played between 2000 and about 2010 probably had Dashboard Confessional as what I was like.
I
hated it. Fuck, he is the load of shit, that man.
He is a sad man. But yeah, so that's kind of like the bulk of what happened. But I am a bit conflicted about this because if that hadn't happened, like I'm assuming I would have got into whatever music was going on at that time. And it's a shame that my like gateway into it, because I saw all of those bands that year. Like I saw so many shit bands. I can't remember a good band I saw in 2003 that I would happily see again now, because I think I just went to see loads of shit. Although I did go see Heads for Heroes, which does count as shit, but they are playing again soon, and I would go see them again. But but they don't count. That sort of kind of trash came out, but I was 14 and probably the exact audience for that sort of shitty music, so I don't hate it. It probably was this, and maybe a bit of the next year was pretty much the only time I really listened to that music, and I very quickly decided to listen to something else, which is a shame because I then got off of alternative music quite quickly and listened to
I think there wasn't that much else around. That's the problem. I do sort of wonder, like, I mean, I definitely was obviously like listening to more DIY stuff, but I've got to say so this was a really difficult thing to do, because without the internet being as present as it is over the last sort of 10 years, the only way that I could work out the smaller bands that I was listening to in 2003 was just to try and desperately go through my entire record collection and try and work it out. And I have to say, I didn't really find many. What I found was shit tons of stuff from 2004 and shit tons of stuff from 2001 and 2. So not all of it was great, but it's just like, I think that in 2003, for me personally, I think I gave up on a lot of music.
Well, I remember what happened in 2003, because then I started to think, well, what else was coming out? And I looked through a list of things. And what started to happen for me, and I might be wrong because I don't remember the time before that, but there seemed to be this culture of like enemy bands, and an enemy tour started, and what that was like pumping shitty like British indie, and that was a thing. So the Libertines start, Franz Ferdinand start, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, who actually I think are quite good, have a big album come out around this time, and all of these kind of like indie bands take over. Arctic Monkeys are a couple of years away at this point, but that's kind of where music goes, and alternative music becomes that specific sound of indie music, which is kind of shit rock, nothingy. And so so music kind of like
that stuff doesn't
a little bit dies.
I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about like the DIY
punk
scene.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that stuff didn't really. I think it did influence that to some extent, definitely, and everything did kind of go in a certain direction. But one interesting thing that I did work out that happened in 2003, as far as the UK DIY punk scene is concerned, was that the last ever edition of Fracture came out. And Fracture was a really important, at the time, I thought, fanzine, which was free. It was really professionally made. It was made by two people, one of whom used to run Mad Monk's fanzine and one of whom ran Charred Remains, which is, I think, a fanzine and a record label. And they got together and they made this thing. And the idea of it was that specifically for really the UK sort of more poppy end of punk scene, was to kind of, because this was pre-internet when it came out, so it started in the late 90s. And like I say, it was free, so everyone got it. So it really like built the UK scene at that time. And there was a bunch of bands that became quite well known out of it. And most of them were more in the sort of late 90s emo end of things, a few pop punk bands, a lot of that kind of no idea type of sound all got big. And Fracture was this amazing thing that was like it was really genuinely the UK equivalent of like Maximum Rock and Roll. It really got loads of bands out there and stuff. But the fact that in 2003 the last ever issue came out is kind of proof again of like this huge change that was happening in culture, whereby there was no longer a point in a free fanzine, because they made like 10,000 copies of this thing, I think, and it went all over the place, and like every distro, every record shop, every record label, if you bought something you'd just get a free issue of this thing in there. Like I say, it was a really awesome like proper professional magazine that was paid for by adverts from small independent labels and stuff. And of course, at this point, the internet had started to take over, and so the fanzine itself just stopped because there was no longer a point to it. There was no longer any interest in it, and there's no worth to it. Yeah, there was definitely like a Fracture scene, and it did a thing. I mean, I'm sure some people listening were sort of around then, and they probably can remember this because it was quite a big thing. But definitely, it pushed certain bands, and it pushed a certain sound of music, and it ignored a lot of other stuff. And as a result of that, a lot of those bands got big, but not big, like big in a DIY sense of the word. A few of them probably did go on to bigger things. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that this was the year that stopped, because it went from being like the way that people got their message out and the way that people pretty much communicated with each other across the whole UK pop punk scene, and to some extent across the world, because I mean it definitely had a lot of international stuff going on in it as well, that it kind of stopped in 2003 shows that the internet was kind of really starting to get over at that point. And that they had just sort of, I remember the last few issues, and they'd just given up. They were just like, it's just become, it had become a mixture of things, like they were getting loads of flack from people online, because they had there was like a message board, and you know it didn't have any social media. It was obviously everything was completely different then, but they were getting loads of emails and loads of flack from people for like, you know, they only included certain bands that they liked, and they were pushing certain bands, and they should push these bands, and all this sort of stuff. And I just remember reading like all the stuff that they were writing was just like, this is no fun anymore. I just want to fuck it off. And so I don't know. I just wonder. I don't know if that is indicative of, you know, obviously I was there, but it's really hard for me to like place exactly, apart from the shit that I was doing, it's hard for me to place exactly what was going on in the UK DIY punk scene, specifically in 2003. But I do think that it was like the scene had kind of started to take, it was on like an uptick that has kind of led to where we are now. And I think that's probably about independent music generally, and about the fact that with social media came a lot more interest in, a lot more of an ability to get like the message of independent music out there, I guess. Okay, should we go through some of the... So again, my only way really of finding good albums, because if you Google search punk albums from 2003 or metal albums from 2003, only rubbish things come up pretty much. So the ones that I found that were quite good, we'll just go through them quickly. So AFI Sing the Sorrow came out in 2003.
I remember Girls Not Grey?
I think that was the single off of it.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember the video coming out and being like, who's this pretty boy?
I mean, this album, I haven't listened to it for a very long time. I really liked it at the time. I listened to it the other day and it surprised me. It's all right. It's not too bad. The problem with this album, I think, it hasn't aged very well. Nothing about this album has aged very well. And there's some really, there's some real nonsense shit on there. The last song is called ... But Home Is Nowhere.
Oh.
You know, there's a lot of shit like that where you always have to remember that David Havoc is a man who has a full sleeve of Nightmare Before Christmas tattoos.
Does he?
And it doesn't matter how much he wants to black them up, they're still there. Basically, this
is he
album...
blacking them out? Sorry.
He's blacked out his arms completely, because all of his tattoos are so embarrassing. But this is the point. AFI, this is their first major label album.
I remember liking things that came before them, but the first time I actually heard of AFI was probably via this album. And then I was like, oh, it's all right. I mean, it's weird thinking that it was like really cool at the time, and then listening to it the other day and thinking, gosh, I really don't like this very much.
I mean, it's definitely not cool anymore, but it was.
No,
it
but
was.
it was.
It
was just like, God, AFI are a bit like cool, aren't they? I was like, oh, now I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah, it's definitely of its time. The Lawrence Arms released The Greatest Story Ever Told.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, the Lawrence, I don't think it's not their best album. They made better albums before this, and they made better albums after this, but it is fucking brilliant. It's got the Ramblin' Boys of Pleasure on it, which is a brilliant song, and it's got loads of really good songs on it. I think that the Lawrence Arms, in comparison to AFI, have aged incredibly well.
Yeah.
And actually, I think, look, I think of pop punk music generally, I think the Lawrence Arms were always like head and shoulders above everyone else as far as like their lyrical content was always really interesting. In fact, their music was really interesting. They came from some great bands. They were in Slapstick and The Honor System and all sorts of really good stuff. But yeah, The Greatest Story Ever Told is really good. And Against Me as the Eternal Cowboy also came out in 2003. It's quite interesting. Both this and the Lawrence Arms are both on Fat Records. And it was the time when both of these bands, and I'm pretty sure around this time quite a lot of bands, were being signed by Fat Records. They were going... so Against Me had been on like No Idea and Planet X before that. Lawrence Arms were on Asian Man Records. And so they were like at a smaller level. And I feel like there was quite a lot of bands that were being snapped up. And it was probably, again, for someone like Fat Records, who went from being a really quite big company to a tiny company, this was like their last bastion of bands who were... you know, actually making a living making this music before, like, you know, the bubble burst. I think that this Against Me album is all right. I think it's probably a lot of people.
Review.
Yeah, it's definitely not their best. I mean, I think it Against Me, for me anyway, and hardly anyone probably agrees with me, particularly at this point, just continuously sort of could never live up to their first album.
Really?
Reinventing Axl Rose is too good. And from that point onwards, everything... this one was like the first one that was a bit more produced. It's got some great songs on it, but it suffers what I think all Against Me albums, apart from Reinventing Axl Rose, suffers from, which is that there's a couple... It starts really well. They always start with a couple of real bangers, and then it just kind of meanders along until it finishes.
Oh, that's a nice... meanders along until it finishes.
That's Against Me's career. Bouncing Souls released Anchors Away, which is probably about their 5th best album. But it's not too bad.
Good year.
No, it's all right. I mean, again, it's kind of this weird thing. I don't know, Bouncing Souls are another funny one. Like, I loved them when I was younger. I feel like they're kind of the musical equivalent of a harmless fat man with bad tattoos sobbing because his favourite wrestler has returned.
Aww.
That's all I'm going to say about Bouncing Souls. And Anchors Away is all right. It's got some really good songs on it, actually.
I feel like his voice and their sound is always like like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's okay.
Yeah, that's fair. The Weaker Thans released Reconstruction Site, again, probably about their 5th best album. But The Weaker Thans being The Weaker Thans, their 5th best album is better than almost everybody else's best album.
Yeah.
One interesting point about both The Weaker Thans and the Bouncing Souls, which might give you an idea of what 2003 is like, both of them I've obviously illegally downloaded from the internet, copied them onto CDRs, printed out the artwork, made my own
Post-it note back.
Yeah, with all the songs on it, and created a nice little package for myself. So that's kind of where we were. We could get music for free, but we still wanted to have something.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite albums of all time came out in 2003. It definitely in my top 10 of all time. Not Punx.
That is high praise.
Definitely, unquestionably, if not probably top 5. It's the Twilight Singers album, Blackberry Bell. It's quite an unlikely one for me to bring up again. It's not punk in any way. Twilight Singers is basically Greg Dully from Afghan Wigs. It's also got Mark Lanigan on it. He's sort of in the band, but he only sings on a few songs.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people have heard of Mark Lanigan much more than they've heard of Greg Dully. This album, I can't really put into words. It's just such a special album for me. It's not really the sort of music that I would normally listen to. I do like the Afghan Wigs, but Twilight Singers, particularly this album, but all of their output really, but this album is just so special. I've seen Twilight Singers millions of times live. They're always fucking amazing. I don't know what else to say, really.
I'd never heard it before until you put some of the songs on our cafe playlist, and it's just like, you can't really even describe what that music is, because it's somewhere around like just indie rock, but with some kind of like jazzy good drumming sometimes, some kind of like funky, but then these like ethereal chord changes with this like grumpy singer, just not grumpy, but just you can tell he's kind of like, so you imagine him smoking, really unwell, doesn't sleep, drinks loads of whiskey, leaning against the bar, muttering these songs.
Yeah.
Like he'd be friends with Tom Waits. Like
kind
it's
of,
that kind of. That's what it sounds like. He's
much more genuine than Tom Waits, and I love Tom Waits, but he's much more the genuine article, I think.
Oh wow.
Because Tom Waits has never pretended that he doesn't sort of play a bit of a character in a way.
Whereas
I think Greg Dully is like on the edge of... definitely at this point, he was very much on the edge. He'd just given up heroin.
Oh,
he'd been in a bit of... I can tell you loads of stories about this album, but he wasn't having a great time.
It sounds
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an album. There is something about it. I've found through my life, it's definitely the sort of album that I've gone to when things aren't going that great, I guess. And I think that probably sums it up. It's like the sort of album that you need. It's quite a... It's a weird thing to say because I don't really believe in specifying genders in this way, but it's quite a male album. It describes the feeling of what you just described.
Yeah.
Drinking whiskey, being miserable, and basically ruining your life.
But he does it in this gorgeous...
Yeah.
Like, it's romantic.
Yeah.
Like, it's... Oh, I don't know. It's just... It's the thing that I adore in, like, film characters. When you see really damaged people, like... just struggling through, probably, but like just about struggling through, just about getting, like when you see people drinking at bars at night on their own late.
This is the music. I know, yeah.
And but it's romantic and it's gorgeous, and some of the songs are just like So subtle and beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what that music
that's another
is.
important thing to say, is that it's not an album that on its first listen most people would notice. I don't
Yeah.
think there's a couple of really big bangers on there
Yeah.
that would stand out from anything. But the most of the album, it's really subtle, and it's all about, I don't know, it's the type of record you've got to listen to. A lot if we can get into it.
Like you listen to it a few times, and then a certain chord change happens, and you're like, I have goosebumps. Why?
Yeah.
This is weird.
Perfect. And an album which didn't come out in 2003, but which I'm going to bring up anyway. So again, I desperately tried to find various cultural references for 2003 when Timebot 500 pulled this thing out. And I found that Henry Rollins wrote a book called Broken Summers, which is his journals between 2002 and 2003. So I thought, oh, brilliant, I'll read that, because that will sort of tell me what was going on, at least a little bit, in 2003. And it did. But what he was doing in 2003 was he was on tour promoting an album called Rise Above, 24 Black Flag songs to benefit the West Memphis 3. We can't go into the West Memphis 3 too much. If you don't know about them, find out about them. I'll probably stick a documentary about them on the YouTube.
Yeah,
playlist,
I think we've even mentioned them before.
Yeah, I think so, just because I brought it up. But this was an album which I think is criminally missed by so many people. It is literally Black Flag covers. Henry Rollins put it together. It was the version of the Rollins band that was going at that time, which is like the second version. It's a band called Mother Superior that he basically just fronted for a while. And they play all of the songs. It involves all members of Black Flag apart from Greg Ginn. But more importantly, Chuck D sings Rise Above. Yeah. Keith Morris sings Nervous Breakdown. Iggy Pop is on it. Neil Fallon from Clutch. Mike Patton sings one of the greatest versions you could possibly imagine of Six Pack that I've ever heard. Ice-T does Police Story. Tom Araya from Slayer does Revenge. Lemmy does Thirsty and Miserable. It's unbelievable. Rancid do a song. Ryan Adams does like a weird acoustic version of Nervous Breakdown at the end. It's such a perfect album, and I don't know why no one knows about it, but it seems like no one knows about it. But better still, after this album came out, he did a tour of all Black Flag songs. Keith Morris went out with him. So Keith Morris would do like the first 6 or 7 songs, and then Rollins would come out and do the rest. But on one night in this book, there is one night where Ian MacKaye happens to be there, and Keith Morris finishes singing 7 Black Flag songs, and Ian MacKaye and Henry Rollins come out and do Rise Above together. And then the night after that, they go to San Francisco, and Jello Biafra does a couple. So just imagine that as a thing. That
that's the dream roast dinner vibe that I've been looking for a really long time.
They could all just sing Black Flag songs.
Just come round.
So that Rise Above album actually came out in 2002, but I think it was worth mentioning.
Well, mine are not anywhere near as cool as yours, so this is going to be sad. No, I have a few albums that I really like that came out that year, but they're not cool. They're not punk at all. So I'm going to whiz through just a few of them. The Postal Service happened.
Oh, that's a lovely album.
Yeah, that album, Give Up, is so beautiful. And I remember the first time I ever heard it was like, I didn't even know that like that little weedy man's voice existed. And then I listened to Postal Service and I was like, oh, this is a thing. I like this. I'm going to mention this. It's mainstream as fuck, but I don't really care. The White Stripes did Elephant.
Yeah, it's a great album.
That is a banging album.
Yeah.
It doesn't really need any explanation. It has has Seven Nation Army on it.
Has white people on it.
Yeah. Has Seven Nation Army on it, and it's just so fucking good, so there's no need to explain it. Right, Goldfrapp released Black Cherry, and this kind of a little bit changed, like, not changed my life, but like, I fucking didn't realise how much I loved Donna Summer until I heard Goldfrapp make the album Black Cherry, because it's got Strict Machine on it, which I was just like, what the fuck is this music? This is amazing. And then made me realise that I also love Donna Summer. I think it's just one of the best songs in the world. And it's proper like modern disco beautifulness.
When we mixed our CD collections together, when we moved into it with each other, one of the only doubles that we had
was this album?
Well, no, it was all of Goldfrapp. Well, maybe not all, but about 3 Goldfrapp CDs that we both had. Other than that, we almost didn't match on anything.
No, probably not. No, because again,
I think we
the
might
rest
have
of my
shared
list
a
is
Less
awful.
Than Jake album and a Goldfrapp album. That was it.
Similarly, this album, I love the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and I don't care that people probably don't like them, but Fever to Tell came out this year, which had Pin, it had Maps, and it had Date with a Night. which is fucking cool. If anyone cares for minimal electro, which most people don't, Fortet did Rounds, and it's probably the best version of that kind of music that exists. So if you like that, you should have listened to that. And also, The Rapture did Echoes, which is like Cowbell Central disco funk from New York style sounding. And I just fucking love that music as well. And then the last one, Peaches did Fatherfucker.
You skip one.
Yeah, well, I don't need to mention that one. Peaches did Fatherfucker, and that was a fucking cool album, and I'd never seen a woman look like Peaches until then. And the one I missed out that I'm going to have to go back and say now.
Everyone's favourite band.
Alexis on Fire did their self-titled album that year, and I'm not even going to deny it. I fucking loved Alexis on Fire at that point. They were like the escape from the shit pop punk that came out that year, and even now I don't think I could listen to Alexis on Fire with a straight face, but I thought they were my little saving grace from the shit music of that time, by also being a little bit shit.
No,
but
I think
Dallas Green was like my hero for a while, until he made solo music.
Yeah,
and
it's horrible.
Sorry, City in Colour is terrible. I don't think, there's no need. His voice in a band with loads of people screaming like the Cool Boys is alright. Him on his own is soppy as shit.
I think in comparison to like fucking Blink-182, I agree. Alexis on Fire is like head and shoulders above.
Yeah, and I just thought, I don't know, I hadn't heard anyone. Obviously, their music isn't individual to them at all, but they were my first introduction into like something that was slightly better than shit pop punk. So I enjoy them. Thanks for making me say them.
So I read something this morning that I think summed up to me what my problem with the music that was going on around about this time.
Yeah.
And it's a film review of a film that's actually from 1999. So I'm cheating a little bit.
Okay.
But I think this sums up. And I would say that this is an exact description of everything that was bad about music in the run-up to 2003-ish. And I do think, genuinely, that things were on an upswing and everything got better. But I think that this, which is a film review from this brilliant book that I've mentioned before called Destroy All Movies, and the film is called Punk Rock Summer Camp.
Cool.
It's described briefly as a document of the van-sponsored Warp Tour featuring Rancid, NoFX, Cherry Poppin' Daddies and others. All of these bands are active at this point. This is all it says. Fuck. Goddamn shit-eating garbage. Poo-poo, pee-pee, sycophantic, Down syndrome, money-fucking, ape-brained horse asses. Culture leeching, teat sucking, chest shaving, masturbation fantasists. Trombone tootling, temporary tattoo, Caucasian dreadlock, anarchy symbol on their PT Cruiser, fashionably vegan, pot dealing, 9-year college students. Bullshit, dog shit, walking, talking, breathing gorilla shit. Mohawk and orthodonture, shirtless, closet Eminem listening sons of governors. Racist, rapist, worthless, thoughtless, faceless nutrags. $100 dye job, mall crawling, chart climbing, arse chasing, check cashing whack-offs. A portion of the money from this video sales will go towards cancer research.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's what the world was coming out of.
2003.
And I think that it was getting better.
Cool. That's a beautiful description. I want to see that film.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
I think we need to get on.
We need to move on.
It's going to be a long one.
We get to our final section. Yes, well done, Timebot. He's going to start the music. I'm going to do a little mini quiz for Dave. Are you ready?
Yes.
Which star of the 2003 film Holes got into a brawl in the South London pub The Hobgoblin, New Cross Gate, when someone stole his hat in 2012? He also did in 2011 when someone apparently said something about his girlfriend's mum. Who's famous for fighting in The Hobgoblin? He's from the film.
Cross.
Yeah, but he's American. He's in the film Holes.
I've never heard of the film Holes, I don't think. I don't know. No idea.
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh.
He went mental for a little bit. There's loads of videos of him screaming on the internet.
Oh, good.
And at this point, he was having fights in this pub twice for some reason.
In New Cross?
In New Cross. He was in the
Good boy.
Hobgoblin. 2011, shouting at people. In 2012, someone stole his hat, and you've got in another fight.
Good.
Which film won the best film at the Stinkers Award? I.e., what was the worst film
worst
this
film?
year?
2003.
And you would not know, money-wise, that it was the worst film.
So it's a big one. It must have been Lord of the fucking Rings.
No, because that was genuinely considered good. It's The Cat in the Hat.
Oh,
Dr. Seuss film.
It's got Jim Carrey in it, isn't it?
No.
It's got the guy from Wayne's World in it.
Yeah, it does. So apparently, it made shitloads of money.
Was it not a Christmas? I think they released it at Christmas, I think.
So it cost about 100 million to make, and they made 130 million. But it was universally panned due to its screenplay humour, perceived lack of faithfulness to the source material, and Michael Myers' portrayal of the title character. Music was praised, but overall it was considered one of the worst movies ever made.
Well, I mean, that sounds like the entirety of 2003, though, doesn't it? You'd make something really shit, and loads of people are going to give you loads of money.
It's crazy that it still made money, and that
I like that you called him Michael Myers too. He's not the Halloween baddie.
What is he? He's Mike Myers, isn't he? Sorry, I don't know why I called him Michael Myers. I'm being very proper, you know. Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
What's his band that he's in at the minute? And who are the other musicians?
Hollywood Vampires. I know it's the guy from Aerosmith. I can't think. Joe Perry.
Yeah.
And it's Alice Cooper.
Yeah. I just threw that in there because it was one that you'd know, because I know you know that. What was the name?
Low-hanging fruit.
I know. What was the name of the fraternity in Old School? I didn't know it had a name. So
rules. We watched this.
Hey. I mainly bring this up.
I don't know.
Film. Lambda Epsilon Omega.
No,
it's not even that exciting, is it?
That.
I know. I thought it was going to be very much more exciting than that. But last question: which actress kissed her brother rather passionately at the Oscars?
Angelina Jolie.
How do you know that?
Because I've read about it. Just purely for this.
They claimed it was mistimed or something.
Yeah, it's not though. I remember it happening. I remember it happening.
I don't remember it.
There's a couple. This was definitely a year of kissing. Because this was the year that Britney Spears and Madonna did a French kiss
on the Super Bowl.
It was basically just people desperately trying to get as much attention as they could, and whatever, doesn't matter how bad. I'll kiss my cousin really passionately, and then I'll claim once I've got all of the attention for it, I'll claim it wasn't really.
Yeah, didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, no, I don't remember that at all. Ugh. That's my film quiz. So I'm going to whiz through the biggest films of 2003, going by the box office numbers worldwide. I think that's the safest way to do it. Should I go 10 to 1?
Yeah, of course.
Go 10 to 1.
Yeah.
At number 10, Bad Boys 2. Thoughts?
Quality. So I don't like it.
I've not seen Bad Boys 1 or 2, and I don't like people who have. I don't like people who have seen it and like it.
Loads and loads of people really like Bad Boys 2. And I don't, and I feel like every song on this list, apart from maybe a couple, is going to be the same.
Okay.
Full review.
Fair enough. Number 9, X-Men 2.
Yeah, I don't get superhero movies. I did see X-Men 2. I think I actually saw it at the cinema. And I remember it was all right. And I think it was before they became what they've become.
Yeah.
Which to me is just a plotless nerd.
Well, it's before
engagement.
Every film that comes out is a superhero film. I'm pretty sure X-Men, there wasn't too many going on at that time.
No,
like the Marvel and the DC.
It was definitely the start of X-Men 2, and I think X-Men 2. It was this film because I think this was the biggest one.
Oh, really?
I think X-Men had been really popular, obviously, but I think X-Men 2 really was like ridiculously massive.
Really,
and I think it might have been one of the big reasons why all of these universes kind of started. It was like those seeds that grew into the shit that we now have to live through.
Ugh. Now they don't make any other films. Rubbish. Number 8, The Matrix Revolutions, which I think must be the third one.
Yeah. I love The Matrix.
I love The Matrix.
But The Matrix 2 and 3 are alright. They're not terrible, but they just went up their own arse and it just got... They're just nowhere near as good. Like, if Matrix 1 didn't exist, I don't think anyone would be bothered about The Matrix at all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the fact that everyone loves that first film that these three films are...
See, I only watched The Matrix really late on, maybe only about 3 years ago. And had I watched it in 2001, it would have been my favourite film of all time. But I must say, then we watched Reloaded and Revolutions pretty much straight after, and I don't remember them. I remember the first one. I do not remember that films.
But they're making a new one. Yeah! And it looks pretty good from the trailer, I thought.
And he can do no wrong.
Well, he can, because he made these
two
Matrix
sorry.
films. He just ragged on for ages.
Well, I'm sure they're good. I just don't remember them. So they're not that good. All right, number 7, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines.
I'm amazed that this isn't number 7.
Well, it's probably because Terminator 2 was 92.
Yeah.
So it's such a long wait. I bet everyone rushed to go see this.
I really like this film.
I do like this film,
I mean,
to
it's
be
not,
honest.
it's not good art.
I feel like I like all the Terminator films, even the shit ones. And this is the
Yeah.
beginning of it getting shit, but I liked it. Number 6, The Last Samurai.
Oh, this is Thomas Cruise
Is it?
pretending to be a samurai.
Oh, no.
That's enough said.
I mean, I'm done. Number 5, Bruce Almighty. Jim Carrey. How do you feel about Jim Carrey? I feel like you have thoughts.
No, not really strong thoughts, to be honest. I'm on the fence. I think he's an interesting character. I like him in Earth Girls Aren't Easy. This is one of his first films.
Okay.
He's not got a big part in that, but he's good in that. And then after that, the zany Jim Carrey character, again, it definitely hasn't aged well. But I think when he does a serious role, he's quite a good actor. And I think, if I remember, like Bruce Almighty is not great, and it's obviously a bit religious, so it's not really of interest to me. But it's all right.
Yeah,
It's harmless.
I remembered it being okay. Number 4, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Jesus Christ.
Which is the first Pirates of the Caribbean
It doesn't
film.
matter which one it is. It makes no fucking difference.
Oh.
What a load of shit.
I really, really enjoyed this film at the time. Again, 14-year-old me thought Johnny Depp was like the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've all later found out that he's awful. But he wasn't even that good in this film. But yeah, at the time I thought this was amazing.
Didn't he get an Oscar or something for this film?
Yeah,
For
definitely.
just pretending to be Keith Richards?
Yeah, definitely.
Terrible.
1,000%. He would have got loads of awards for these films.
This is like the movie equivalent of the Black Eyed Peas. It's just production with nothing behind it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, at the time I thought this film was amazing, but I have rewatched it in the recent years and it is terrible. Number 3, Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah, we done
Same
that.
as what we've already said
Same
earlier.
as the other one.
Number 2, Finding Nemo.
I just say it's weird that there was 2 Matrix films in 1 year.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they must have been made at the same time and just come out. I think one came out at the very start and one came out at the end.
Yeah, it must be.
Anyway.
But yeah, number 2, Finding Nemo. Have you even seen it?
I don't watch any of this Pixar shit or any cartoons or anything.
I agree that Pixar is not the best version of cartoons.
Cool. I'm glad.
Let's not get into that debate.
This
But
is
I
about
like
a
Finding
fish,
Nemo.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's about a little clownfish with a little small fin.
Is it Under the Sea? Is that from this?
No, that's the Little Mermaid.
Oh, right, okay. I presume I'm about.
Have you
20
seen the
years
Little
out.
Mermaid?
No.
We're having a Disney episode soon. We're gonna lose some people, but I'm gonna lose you. I like Finding Nemo. I don't care.
Good.
Number 1, your favourite film of all time, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
If you want our
I
opinions
think
on Lord
to
of
this
the
date
Rings,
might be the most expensive film ever made.
Oh, well, I don't care. If you want our opinions on Lord of the Rings, go back to our previous episode. I don't know when it was. Lord of the Tins. Might be number 4.
Yeah, something around
You
there.
can listen to it there. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Aww.
God help
I like
anybody involved in that.
I think I still like
bullshit
that
of
film.
Cinema.
So the top 10 are all shit. There's some films that
Well,
probably...
apart from all the ones that you just moaned at me for saying were shit.
No, they are shit. They are bad. I do know that they're bad. But there were some films I'm surprised weren't in it. Elf came out that year.
I think Elf's brilliant.
Yeah, Elf is just like wonderful.
Yeah.
Kill Bill, the first Kill Bill came out.
Yeah, so we watched the first Kill Bill, didn't we?
Yeah. Me for the first time. I'd not watched it before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I was always really disappointed with both Kill Bill films because I think, in comparison to Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, less so, but definitely Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown, I just thought it was a great film, but it didn't come anywhere near two before it. And I think it definitely started Quentin Tarantino's descent into being a less interesting filmmaker. Mm. But, I mean, he's not bad, and he's never made anything bad. The only thing I would definitely comment on about Kill Bill is his foot fetish gets a full airing in this film. I've never seen a film with so many bare feet, close-ups of bare feet, bits that were definitely written specifically so that you could get long shots of bare feet.
And I feel like at this point that's well known, so now I feel like it's like an assault.
I don't know if it was well known.
Is it not?
I know it. I mean, it is now, but I don't think it was well known in 2000.
Oh, okay.
I think it might have come from this film.
Oh, fair enough.
It will be my guess. I don't know for a fact.
Yeah, where she's just staring at her toe, asking it to move.
Yeah.
City of God came out this year. It's a good film, but we haven't rewatched it recently, and I just remember it being really sad. And Old Boy came out.
Yeah, he's a live squid.
Yeah, I've heard it's
I'm
good,
out.
but I can't watch it because of that. House of a Thousand Corpses. I'd never seen it before.
This is
Rob
Robert Zombie's first
Mr.
film.
Robert Zombie.
And I think probably, in a lot of ways, his best, although it's definitely not his best made. But I think it's the film where, whilst it's not a perfect film by any means, I think that what he does really well in this film is that he takes all of the things that he's interested in and he just throws all of them at the screen.
Yeah.
And I think because he's interested in some quite interesting stuff, I'm not a massive Rob Zombie fan or anything, but he's definitely likes really cool, like kitschy shit and like, you know, old horror movies and stuff. I think it doesn't work so well as a narrative film. I think if you were a film critic, some of his other ones are probably a lot better. But from the perspective of just being someone who's kind of into the same shit as Robert Zombie is, I think this is a really good film.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I kind of I like the look of it. I like the things that are in it. But yeah, maybe I was coming at it from what is the story? And I was like,
there's not much of a story. And the acting's bad and like all that. So there's a lot about it. But in comparison to, so let's compare him to another rocker that's made a film in which he just included all of the things that he was interested in. In comparison to Glenn Danzig's first film, I mean, this is an exceptional piece of art.
Yeah, definitely. 1,000%. The Room came out. Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name?
Wiseau?
Wiseau?
I don't know.
That's his name. Wiseau.
I think you put the N in the wrong place, haven't you?
Wiseau.
All right, yeah, Wiseau. I don't know.
Wiseneau.
I don't know.
Wiseau.
Thomas Wiseau.
I don't know. Whoever the fuck he is not very good, but it's famously not very good.
I think you're oversimplifying it by saying it's not very good.
Isn't it?
I mean, it is an incredible thing
Neil
to
Breen
watch.
aspires to be this man.
Yeah, to some extent, although we watched another film which was taken much more seriously than this film, which had very similar aspects as this and Neil Breen and Beelzebub. And that was Elephant by Gus Van Sant.
Oh, gosh, we did, didn't we?
Which superficially, I think, is supposed to be quite artistically pleasing and is kind of about the Columbine massacre.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time I think it might have been sort of banned or at least cut quite a lot. And there was a bit of an uproar about it because it was obviously quite soon after it all happened.
Yeah.
I thought this film was a sixth form pretentious piece of shit. It was an hour and 20 minutes, and half an hour of that was just watching people walk down corridors with their back to the camera. But that wasn't the problem. I mean, the problem with it was that it thought it was extremely clever. And maybe at the time, in the context that it was made so soon after it happening, I can kind of see there being a point to it to some extent. But it just couldn't work out. The message behind the film was so convoluted and almost not there. And so much of it was... So I think that everybody in it was probably not actors. And I think that they were improvising all of their lines, which would have been fine. Except it was definitely improvised to some extent. Which would have been fine, except they had nothing to say. And they'd obviously been given no idea of where they were supposed to be going. But also, and I don't know if this was deliberate or not, but if it was, then it's a really dark film. The children were so hateful and annoying that it was a film that was almost made so that you rooted for the people that were going to kill them all. It was so weirdly made. It had such an odd message.
It was strange. Like, I kind of felt like the message was the boys that did it were like, they played piano and they were really quite sweet, and the music they listened to wasn't Marilyn Manson and all this other shit. Because straight afterwards, everyone was being blamed for, you know, them listening to satanic music and da-da-da-da. So I think the point was to show them in a pretty nice light, and everyone else was meant to just get a glimpse into the kids that got murdered that day, and that was about it.
Yeah,
like, I don't really think...
but it also wasn't that, because it wasn't actually factually based.
No, it wasn't factually. I think
it was like, they messed with the narrative as well.
I think it was just like... Let's imagine all of the people. I don't know.
And he just did some weird things. Like, he made the two gunmen, he made like they were gay in that film, or they kissed each other in the shower.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, what's he trying to say? What's the point of that? Because there was another bit where they talk about how do you spot someone who's gay. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they're sort of going around the classroom and they're saying things like, oh, if they had pink hair and they were walking down the street, they would know that they were, or something. And I was just like, this is definitely, both of these things have been put in there for a reason.
Yeah.
What is that reason? And I can't work it out. And there's a bit, everybody in this is white. And then all of a sudden, at one point, there's a black kid that starts walking through the corridor.
That they name, so you think he's going to be like a person.
And they do this weird thing whereby he's not worried. So there's loads of gunshots going off and there's fire everywhere, and he's not worried about it.
Yeah.
And then he just gets shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you so heavy-handed that you're saying, oh, this guy's black, so he's definitely from the ghetto, so he's heard gunshots, he doesn't care about it?
Yeah.
Or what? What else could you be saying? And if that's what you're saying, then that's quite offensive. Yeah. Actually. So, you know, I don't know, I just hated this film so much.
I remember asking, it's interesting you say it's like a sixth form drivel crap project, because when we were watching, I mean, that's not what you called it. Project. But when we were watching it, I remember asking, like, has this man made films before? Is this really early on? And you were like, yeah, he made Private Idaho in like 92. Yeah. Like, he's made films that are actually good. Yeah. And this is just really strange. Anyway, it is what it is.
But there were some good films made.
Yes.
In 2003. What are the good films?
Lost in Translation.
Yes.
I only watched this for the first time literally 2 days ago because Dave said it's a good film from 2003 and he was not wrong. It's beautiful. Yeah. And it's lovely and not a huge amount happens, but it's very... it has that emotion that I think I feel when I hear the Twilight Singers.
Yeah, no, totally, 100%.
Because I think Bill Murray might also almost be that man in this film. And it's just perfect. I think it's quite a big film. Again, I knew it was big and I'm surprised it's not in the top 10 grossing films.
I think it was released with not a lot of reach, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, it surprised me, to be honest. I watched it at the time, or like soon after it came out, and I remember really liking it, but I wasn't necessarily blown away from it. And I don't know whether it's like being a little bit older,
maybe,
but it blew me away this time.
It's just gorgeous.
It's like absolutely. You say not a lot happens, and I agree, not a lot happens, but actually, fucking loads.
Yeah.
Happens. It depends on how you look at it, and like, just from I don't know, I found it so.
It's subtle and beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, really emotionally affecting.
Yeah. Hugely. When you try and describe what happens in it, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's just gets you. Yeah. So good. American Splendor came out. Again,
one of my favourite movies. Like, so I mean, 2003 wasn't all bad by any means. I was surprised by the quality of the films that came out this year. American Splendor is one of the best films ever made, in my opinion. It's based on a comic book by a guy called Harvey Pekar, which was like the first, or maybe not absolute first, but the first famous comic book that came out that was kind of really kitchen sink and like just based on someone's real life, like when comic books were all, you know, superheroes and stuff. And it was just really like low key and offbeat. And in a lot of ways, I think had a huge impact on kind of making what became alternative culture, actually. And this is made long after. I mean, he was sort of doing this through the 70s and 80s. And this movie is really strangely made, but really interestingly made. Like the real Harvey Pekar is actually in the film.
Yeah.
And so are all of the people that are being played by other people, and they kind of meet their own characters and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really it's kind of made in a postmodern sort of a way, but it's not got its head up its arse.
Yeah, it's kind of like part documentary at times, and then part like it cuts in and out at weird interjections, doesn't it?
Yeah, and of course the whole thing is based sort of on fact, and as much as like he was writing about stuff that really happened in his life. Yeah. So it's fictional, but it's not fictional, and so I suppose that's why it works so well. But it's absolutely brilliant. If you're not seeing it, 1,000,000% go.
Heartwarming and glorious. Yeah. Love it.
And another one which surprised me again, just how fucking amazing it was Adaptation.
Oh, that was so good.
So Adaptation stars Nicolas Cage and...
Nicolas Cage twice.
And Meryl Streep.
Yeah. And she's really good.
She's great, and he's great. He's unbelievably good in this
He's so good. He plays twins. I love it. I love it so much.
But yeah, it's another one. I don't know that we need to go into it that much, but it's kind of... it's on the...
I mean, I don't know how you describe it.
I don't know how you describe it, yeah. It's on the back of B and John Malkovich, which is another brilliant film. They're both written by the same guy, Charlie Kaufman, and to some extent there's a bit of overlap. I mean, they have nothing to do with each other, except that Nicolas Cage is playing Charlie Kaufman, and on a couple of occasions he ends up on the set of being John Malkovich. So it's kind of all a bit postmodern and weird, but this film I get another one that I watched at the time, and I remember thinking was pretty good, but wasn't necessarily affected by that much.
Yeah.
And watching it now, it fucking blew me away.
So
It's
good.
so good. Really.
Like, you can't even really... Like, it's just too clever for its own fucking good.
Yeah.
It's Inception before Inception. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
It's Inception
so...
without any of the sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's beautiful. And Nicolas Cage... it's just always nice to be reminded how good an actor he is.
Yes.
Because sometimes it can be forgotten.
Oh, no, absolutely.
But I'm always rooting for him.
He makes so much stuff, doesn't he? That
Yeah.
It's hard to... You kind of forget sometimes because he makes... But it's interesting. Nicolas Cage's career is so... I think he's a very interesting man. And I would love to know more about
Him.
what makes him tick. Because he makes... Obviously, makes so many films... And he's gone from making a lot of trash for a while to now, I feel like over the last few years, he's been making low budget, underground, but interesting. Sometimes trashy.
That Colour of Space film.
Those, yeah.
Fucking hell. And Mandy.
Mandy was brilliant.
Jesus.
So yeah, he's a really interesting man, but he's definitely like you can just tell how good of an actor he is in this thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Meryl Streep's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just.
I mean,
it's
everyone.
such a good
The
film.
whole film is brilliant.
Such a good film.
Going back to the trash though, because normally we're supposed to talk about trashy movies, and we haven't really talked about any trashy.
House of
movies.
1,000 Corpses is.
Freddy vs. Jason was made.
Oh,
this
I
year.
forgot we watched that.
It's all right.
I remember about like minute 30. I was like, why is both of them, like, I still don't understand why they're both in it and how it's going to be coming together. And then you like really off the cuff just explained the entire film to me as if I should have gotten it so far. I was like, no, that's not obvious just yet.
Yeah, no.
It was all right. It was good.
I guess it was probably rushed out because I think it was something that had been talked about.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the first time that like horror characters had like met.
I was about to say, is this pre-Terminator versus Predator?
You mean Alien? Alien versus Predator.
Is this pre-Alien versus Predator?
Yes.
Okay.
And I feel like it was kind of something that nerdy people... Horror films were pretty big, I think, at this point. And there was definitely a big, huge like culture
Scream
around
and all that
horror
shit.
films. Yeah. But I more mean in the sort of the nerd, people that are really into this shit.
Yeah.
I think they were really into this shit. Not that they're not now, I'm sure. But I think people were quite hungry for the idea of two baddies meeting each other.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I suppose... this was like the first of its kind, and it's all right.
It's okay.
It's extremely 2003. In fact, I'd go so far as to say it's not even 2003. It's extremely late 90s. Everything about it. It's got a Destiny's Child in it, isn't it?
It does. Kelly Rowland is one of the main characters.
She never went on to anything, did she? I mean, I feel like that's a real step down from being in Destiny's Child.
Well, and I think 2003 is... So Beyonce's just released
made
her solo.
album, yeah.
So I think Kelly Rowland immediately did some solo stuff. She did a song with Nelly, which I think might have even been in that fucking house.
Is Nelly the one with
the plaster on his face?
Yeah.
So she did a song, I think it must have been this year or maybe the next year.
Was that plaster on his face artistic expression?
Yes.
What about what though?
I don't know. I think it's a thing, isn't it? Don't some like football players put paint on their face?
Nikki Sixx used to do that. Anyway, Kelly Rowland. What the fuck?
Well, she had a solo career.
Yeah, but
she had some good songs.
Is she dead?
Oh God, no, she can't be dead. She's not dead. Calendria Rowland on Twitter says hi. And it's just a picture of her and just says hi. 5 days ago. So 5 days ago, she's definitely alive.
She's just found out about Twitter, I think.
And it looks like Grandma just found... I mean, she's very well done up, but it's like...
Oh, I bet she's got a really
selfie.
big old PC, and she'd just got on Twitter, and she'd just worked out how to make herself one, and then she was like, right, what's my first tweet going to be? What shall I say? Hi. What am I going to say? Let's just start with a quick hi. And then didn't get any response. And 5 days later, she's like, why has no one said hello back?
Oh.
Well, how does Twitter work?
Oh, Kelly Rowland, you can do Twitter.
I think we're going to have to call it a day because this has gone on for ages.
So long.
I think we've totally forgotten about Timebot 500.
Yeah, poor Timebot.
How are you getting on, Timebot? Are you all right?
I am fucking bored.
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
sorry.
I mean, it's totally fair
enough.
To be honest. So let's call it a day.
Yeah.
On this very special episode.
Of course.
Of
our
Breakfast
famous
Punx
Timecop episode.
Thank you so much if you've listened this far. As ever, get in contact with us. We're on Instagram at Breakfast Punx Podcast. You can email us at shamcityroasters@gmail.com. I think that's probably about it.
Follow us on YouTube because we put nice playlists on there, including some of the films that we've found and lots of nice things. Yeah, la 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 la. That might have been a song from 2003. I think I just wrote one. Next week we'll be back to normal structure of our episodes, and we're going to be featuring What's It Cool Fest, which is the punk festival that Dave and Toxic What's It are putting on in Hastings. Is it next week or the week after? Next week.
So if you're listening, we might be seeing you then.
Yeah, we might see you then, and we'll be featuring it on the episode. So yeah, I guess we say goodbye now.
Yeah, sorry, we'd normally play songs. It feels weird to just say goodbye. I don't know what we did last time. Probably Timebot made a joke. Have you got any jokes, Timebot?
Sweet.
Oh, really?
Well,
Fuck off.
I think he said that last time. Okay, we're going to go now.
It's just like you're signing off with your nan on the phone. Right, we're going to go now. Goodbye.
All right, we're going to go. No,
You did it again. Right, we're going to go now.
Okay, now.
Thank you so much.
All right.
For everything. Happy birthday for Tuesday.
So fuck off from me. All right. Timebot says fuck off. Fuck off, everyone. Love you. Bye.
Bye.